Wow, this is great, you guys. Thank you so much. This is so cool. Somebody, thank you for coming and spending some time with us on a Friday afternoon. This is great. And I'm so happy to be here with everybody. I see so many familiar faces. And I'll just say my name is Heather Cooper, and I talk about um, AI and visual content on Twitter. I write on Medium. And lately, we've just been inundated with tons of things that are out here. And I really appreciate everybody that came out today to come and talk. And we're just going to discuss some of these new tools that are out here. I'm sending out a couple of co-host invites and stuff. And there's just so many things that are happening. So we should have a great session today. There's lots to talk about, as usual. But I just want to tell everybody, please feel free to use your emojis to let me know if you understand everything. If you need, if you want to speak or something like that, just put your hand up, make a little bit of noise. That way, please feel free to drop any information into the chat. We used our chat, the comment section, as like a living document. You could put any links in there that you want. If you have something you want to show off, Richard, you have so much art. Please feel free to go ahead and drop some of your stuff in there, some of your amazing creations. But anybody, please, everybody, just feel free to do that and just to go ahead and share with that so that we all can kind of communicate. And oh, hey, Amar, how are you? Everybody here, I'm going to send out a couple more invites for the microphone, and I will. My co-host here, Taylor from the Sauce, and Asher. I appreciate Asher Oliver, and I have Angry Penguins here today to talk about Leighton Labs, and Ashita is here to talk about her little cool fan tunes comic strip. Amar is here. He's going to talk a little bit about him. He made his a fully AI book for a children's book and published that. And he's done some other really cool things. Has some tutorials up there. He's going to talk a little bit about that. Matt Wolf, the infamous, he's here from Future Tools, Twitter and YouTube, just killing it, keeping us all informed. I check with his stuff every day to see what's happening. Marissa Brassfield from a Ridiculously Efficient is here, and she has a lot of information that she can share about some of the things that people are concerned about with AI and using different types of things and how it will affect them in their everyday life. So we just have tons of people to talk. So I will shut up now and go ahead and pass the mic around a little bit. Taylor, did you want to have? Do you have anything to say?
Yes, thank you so much, Heather. This is, I think, as somebody mentioned it literally just in the comments, like this might just be the space of the week, and I'm so happy to be part of it. This is a really exciting, like, pure proof of the collaboration that exists in the community that exists on Twitter to bring together all of these amazing minds and creators in one space who are just doing phenomenal stuff with AI and AI tools and all of the generative AI content that enables us to carry through our workflow on our day-to-day lives. So I'm excited to hear from some of these creators today. And I know, Amar, that you have kind of a tight deadline, but I wanted to give you a chance to like hop up first so that, because in case you do have to bounce, but you can share some of your story. And I'm particularly impressed, in awe of, truly just like awestruck by what you've been able to do by putting together this amazing creation through Midjourney, ChatGPT, publishing it, doing it all in a weekend. It's obviously generated a ton of buzz. You've had some news interviews and you're getting press out of it. So I just wonder if you could share some of your story with us, and then we can bounce back to Heather and kind of bounce around the room.
That sounds good. Great to be here, and thanks for having me. So I basically been playing around with generative AI like the early last year, and I was looking for access to DALL-E, and I accidentally stumbled across Midjourney while looking for it, and was really, really impressed with the tool. As I was playing around with it, it kind of was in the back of my mind. There's this tool out there that can make illustrations, and around this time, two of my best friends ended up having their first kids, and I would joke with them and say, I'm going to be the cool uncle in this relationship, basically. And went over to see one of them. She had just turned 1 year old, and she invites me upstairs to read her bedtime story. And I'm reading her favorite book, and I'm laughing with my friend because I'm like, this book is actually kind of nonsensical. It doesn't make much sense, but she loves it. You know, she loves the story, and then I joked. I was like, you know, it'd be really cool if I made my own children's book for her. And he's like, how are you going to do that? uh, I later went back home, and ChatGPT had come out around that week. It was a rainy weekend in San Francisco, so I was just stuck at home. And I was like, you know what? What if I challenged myself to create an entire book in a weekend, knowing that Midjourney's out there, ChatGPT has just come out. And so I combined those tools, and basically I was like, well, how do I get a paperback in my hand? And you know, Amazon KDP, which I think is the least talked about thing in all of this, but there's a platform out there that can give you a published book in 72 hours. And so I combined all of that together, and then by Wednesday, I had a paperback in my hand. By Sunday, I was done with that story. So it all happened real fast. Put it out on Instagram. Friends thought it was really cool. So my perception of the whole project was this was very exciting for folks, and this is something everyone would really enjoy. And then a friend of mine was like, "You've got to put this out on Twitter. It's going to be great." So I put it on Twitter, shared the entire process because I just wanted to inspire other folks. And you know, if anyone else had their ideas, it'd be really cool to see them come to life. And first 24 hours, wonderful. You know, I had so many people reaching out, parents reaching out, saying they wanted to create books for their kids, which got me really excited. And then the next 24 hours, I actually vividly remember waking up at like 4 a.m. ish, and my phone is just buzzing off, you know, and it is. You know, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be amazing. It must be going viral. It was not the kind of viral that I was expecting. You know, there was all this like hate messages from people saying like, this is terrible, you're scum, like all these like, you know, very, very dark messages. I don't want to delve too deep onto those, but it kind of shocked me, right? I was like, wow, this is has evoked such a visceral reaction from one side, and then this one side is very optimistic and excited about this technology, which, you know, I think it's always important to get perspective from both sides, and I was grateful to have gotten that. But at the same time, I was quite shocked by just how strong the response was going to be. And then soon after, Time Magazine and BuzzFeed and a few other places reached out, and it just kind of kept blowing up and continuing to grow. And yeah, it's been bit of a wild ride. Recently was on TV in Japan, which was crazy. so, it's just been this like hilarious and fun learning experience, and then to fall into this community of amazing creators like yourselves has also just been something I'm very, very grateful for. But yeah, that's the short spiel of my story, and happy to obviously answer any questions about any of this. But yeah, I just want to give people an overview.
Thank you so much, Mar. I was going to ask you really quick, if you don't mind, like, was there ever an intent to monetize it early on? Or, I mean, obviously you did it in a weekend, so it's not like this was a multi-month long project. Um, or was that just kind of like, let me see if other people are curious about it too? And were you able to actually monetize it?
Yeah, so there was never an intent to monetize it. Initially, it was just for my two friends, and their names are in the book as well. And so, kind of joked with them afterwards. I was like, "Sorry for putting your two newborns in controversy," but uh, yeah, it was just, yeah. Can I put something out there and put it out fast? And later on, I mean, obviously, it became very clear that this was something that a lot of people could easily monetize and put books out there, right? Like, if you get, there's a lot of good creative poetry that comes out of ChatGPT, and I'm sure Bing Chat now too. And you know, you could easily publish books like that, and I think that would be a pretty fun. The thing I'll say is, if I was intending to monetize it, I think I would have done a better job curating it. You know, a lot of the errors that people had pointed out with the hands and stuff that you know, probably should have spent more time cleaning up, but I didn't. You know, are things that I would go back and do. And one other funny story I'll just quickly add is, a lot of the internet, you know, love was amazing. The hate was definitely getting to me a little bit, and I was like, oh man, like this is really struck a chord. but I went back home in the winter to see my parents, and my dad, who was just so excited about the fact that I had put a book out there, was telling everyone about it. And I go to him and I'm like, "Hey, you haven't seen the paperback, so here it is." And he checks it out, and he's like, he flips through it real quick, and then he's like, "Son, um, this story kind of sucks." And so it was in that moment where I was like, you know what? When you hear your dad say that, the internet does not matter. And I tend to agree. It was a very like average story, but he loved the art. I love the art. My mom was incredibly supportive, but you know, at the end of the day, I think I'm just excited that it inspired a whole set of folks to create their own stories. I truly think the magic of these tools is that we are all able to express ideas now that we've been sitting on for a while. Who knows who the next Spielberg is, or the next young author who wants to put their ideas out there. And if you have a tool that unlocks human expression in this way, then I think we're truly on something magical here.
Oh, I agree, Amar. Thank you so much for saying that too, because it's so interesting how, I've developed a love for a lot of things that I didn't really have before. I didn't think I was going to enjoy making comics, but thank you, Ashita, for having me think about going ahead and making an entire series or something, because I had the ability to do so. But there's so many different things that it's just creating. It allows people to our imagination. We can make it happen, and it's just wonderful. And I really appreciate. Thank you so much for coming, even though I know you had another meeting, and I appreciate it. And if any of the other guests that had a meeting or you have to leave early, please let me know, and I can go ahead and get you up here fast to say something. But I was going to let me see here, Asher. I know. I'll wait till you're ready if you want to say something, but we can just kind of go around some. Matt, you have access to a lot of information with future tools and your YouTube channel, and you have a pretty good feel of what's going on. I don't know. Did you want to say a few words real fast? I know you can't stay the whole time.
Hey, sure. Can everybody hear me okay? Because I've been having audio issues with Twitter
Yeah.
Spaces, so want to make sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll give a quick backstory here. So the last 6 weeks have been just like this insane ride for me. I've been making YouTube videos for the last 14 years, and just in the last, I don't know, since about November or so, I started keeping a little spreadsheet of all of these cool tools that I've came across in the AI space. First it was like Google collabs on Stable Diffusion, and there was, the Jaspers and GPT-3s and all of the kind of cool writing tools that were out there. And I just started to build up this spreadsheet. And then my spreadsheet got to this point where there was like, 80, 90 tools in it. And it was just this mess of, I don't know how to find what I'm looking for. So one weekend I decided to teach myself Webflow. So I got on YouTube, watched a bunch of YouTube tutorials on how to build a website with Webflow. And I organized all of these 80 or 90 tools into this Webflow website so that I could quickly sort them and organize them. And when I needed a tool for, coding, I could type in code real quick and it would pop up the 5 tools that I found around coding. And I built that literally in a weekend with my 8-year-old son sitting next to me saying, "Hey, you should make this look like that." And he kind of helped me make the design on the website. And I didn't really think anything of it. It was just kind of this, this resource for myself to find a cool tool. I went and shared it on Twitter. The thing ended up getting like, hundreds of retweets, and it sort of went viral, and everybody started talking about future tools. And I was like, wow, I didn't know anybody would ever even care about this thing. And, on the side, I was also making YouTube videos. I was actually making YouTube videos about GPT-3 and how to use GPT-3 Playground back in July of 2021. And some of those videos to this day still only have 60, 70 views on them. And just in the last 28 days, my YouTube channel went from 1,200 subscribers to yesterday, it just crossed 100,000 subscribers. And all of this just sort of like blew up within the last 6 weeks. So I'm jumping into a Twitter space here, and I'm seeing names like Robert Scoble and Angry Penguin here, who I've had some conversations with, and Heather, who's taught me some stuff about Midjourney. And I'm just like, damn, I feel underqualified to even be here, because all of this has just sort of happened for me so quickly. I built this website just for fun, and it took off. And my YouTube videos that were getting no love just within the last month or so starting getting love, and it's just been a wild ride. So I decided, hey, I should figure out how to turn this into my full-time gig. How can I just be down this rabbit hole all the time? How can I just stay on top of this? So I built a newsletter. The newsletter is about to pass 25,000 subscribers, so I've got sponsorships on that. I started earning revenue from the ads on YouTube because of the growth, and I pretty much dropped everything I was doing, and now all I do my entire day is nothing but reading the latest AI news articles, clicking around and playing around with the various tools that are popping up, jumping on Twitter Spaces and seeing what people are talking about, watching the latest YouTube videos, and then just turning around and sharing it on my YouTube and on my website and in my newsletter. And yeah, that's the whole story in a nutshell.
And thank you, Matt. It's wild because you blew me up. You shouted me out on YouTube about one of those the emojis or something like that with Midjourney, and within minutes I just looked up like, why are all these people following me? What's going on? And it's amazing how much nobody paid attention to me at all. So this is all new for me too, but I had all the spreadsheet full of tools. I wanted to say, Taylor, you wanted to ask him something real fast, and Ashita, I'm gonna
Oh
put you
yeah,
on
no,
right after that.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's get Ashita up.
Okay, Ashita, you have to leave in a few minutes. I wanted to let you go ahead and talk about fan tunes. It's such
Amazing.
a cool tool.
Well, thanks
Thank
everyone.
you.
I love
Thank
the energy of the space. I just got to say, Amar, Matt, thank you both for sharing. Heather, you're such a lovely host. Thank you. So yeah, fan tunes is something that again started as an experiment, and I think there's like a similar theme with Matt and with Amar and Heather, you as well. I've been so a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I got into learning all about neural nets and deep learning, and I took a fast AI course and was super into GANs and sort of co-creation with AI, and ended up sort of not like diving into it super deep, like put it off to the side, never thought about it. And then for the past couple years, I've been building a startup that's focused on my other big passion, which is fandom. So I'm a huge nerd, and I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and I'm a fan fiction writer. And so I believe in like bringing people together through fandom as a way for belonging. And so was building this thing, and Jelly wasn't really like showing us the retention that we wanted to see. And so over the holidays, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna like set everything aside. I was like super intrigued by, had been playing with Midjourney, super intrigued that I could create amazing looking images. And I was like, well, I actually want to like start doing something around this. What can I do? So my first experiment was I built a fan fiction writer or fan fiction generator and shared it with a bunch of people. So we have a community of about 800 Gen Z teen girls on our Discord, and got amazing feedback. They were like, this is really cool, but you know what would be great? Like if you could add images. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So it took me a day to like code up the web app, and I was like, let me, how hard can it be? Let's actually like make something for images. And I made an image generator. I decided to focus on the Harry Potter and BTS fandoms and shared it with a bunch of people, got amazing feedback, which was like, oh, this is like super cool. They played around with it. They're like, it'd be amazing if you could like combine it with the story creator that you made. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I was like, I don't think anyone's gonna like sit and read like paragraphs upon paragraphs or a book with like images. It's like, I like graphic novels and I like comics. What if we just did something like really fun? Didn't think much about it. I just thought it was like a playful thing to like, create images and then like caption them. So we trained a model on Harry Potter and focused on a few different styles. So anime, comic book, manhwa, which is like Korean web comics, and a bunch of other styles, and got the images looking like super cool and super consistent. Like, okay, this is cool. We realized that people didn't want to prompt and like nobody's like born a prompt engineer. Let's face it. I feel like it's a really shitty interface. And so we're like, how can we make it super simple for people to use? And we decided we were going to Mad Lib style, like let people pick a character, pick a style, etc. And just kind of shared it with the Harry Potter fan fiction community on our Discord. And it just started taking off. So people started sharing it with other people. And, like I was building in public the entire time. So um, I remember last week I posted, or actually this Tuesday I posted, hey, we're at like 193 users. And then I said, well, actually now we're at like 200 and something users. Um, and we finally like jumped to like 305 yesterday. And it's just been like insane. Like people, it seems to like really resonate with people, even though it's a very simple throwaway idea. So that's a little bit like me and Fantunes. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for explaining that too, Ashita. And thank you for reaching out and even making me aware of it. It is such an easy tool, and it's so cool. You don't have to do much with it, but you can just go ahead and make scenes, right? Basically some comic scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So scene by scene, you go and just kind of play with the text boxes and, figure out if you want to use the characters that you have on there. And that you said you'll be loading more on as you go on, or you can create your own, and you can also change the environment or the style. Like I always like cyberpunk and things like that. You go ahead and add that in there and change the characters to that, or upload your own pictures. So I think it's such a cool tool. I really love it. And a lot of people, it resonates because of the simplicity and because it says so much. I think it tells a story. And a lot of people were saying for kids, it'd be great for, to get them interested in making a storyline in middle school or elementary or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I just think it's just a great tool.
Yeah, we just had our first 8-year-old fan try it yesterday and say, I really love this. I could do it all day. And she's going to tell 3 of her friends. So yeah, that
It's
day's not far off.
fabulous. Yeah, it's just clean fun, and you can just do whatever you want. I love it. I
Yeah.
just love it. Oh man, thank you so much for coming to spend some time with us. And I really appreciate it. And you please let us know what's going on with is it Jelly? What was
Yes.
the other? Yeah, Jelly. And the gel, is there anything that's upcoming soon for that with that or?
So with Jelly, right now we're doing a daily avatar of the day drop for our users. It's Harry Potter themed because we decided to focus on the Harry Potter fandom. And yeah, that's it's been resonating. So
Well, you definitely let us know, please. You know who to talk to. All these people in the room. You just send any of us any information. And Zhang's here too, also with who, what, where. Her AI newsletter, and Zhang actually got me interested in AI art and different things like that. So I wouldn't have done anything on any art generator without Zhang's influence. So I appreciate that. And Zhang, I know you're going to try that with your kids too, right? The fan tunes.
Yes, Heather, thank you so much for your kind words. I'm actually playing with Fantune right now, Ashita. It's amazing. I'm going to let my kids play with them tomorrow because I actually, my kids they actually created a YouTube channel just to make shorts with AI tools that make lyrics video. So they just spend like 5 minutes make a video, and then they can get like 1,000 views within like 2 hours time. I'm shocked. So I think that AI is really, really the future for them, that it makes even the small children being able to become a creator. So your fan tune is amazing. I think they will really, really love it. They will really spread with their friends. And Heather, thank you so much for the kind words. You inspired me too.
Oh, please. Thank you, Zhang. You're too kind. And I really appreciate it because Zhang is truly a working mom. She has 4 little kids, and she'll build stuff. How many things do you build every week? She's had about, 8 product launches on product hunt in the past, 2 months. She just kills it out there. And it's just so empowering to see her out here doing things. And she just learns the no code. She's in a no code camp right now, boot camp, right? It's just one thing after another, and she's just rolling it out. I love it. It's very inspiring.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much,
That's
Heather.
very inspiring. You inspire me, Zhang.
No, thank you. You inspire us
Oh,
too.
absolutely. It's really, it's so cool. And I wanted to ask a Angry Penguin. We were going to talk about Latent Labs too. And I guess we'll just talk about those products, and then if we can open the floor up to anyone who wants to ask questions, and we can have further discussion about these things. But if you could tell us about your 3D animation, it's just wow. I love it. You probably can explain it better than me, so I'll let you go ahead.
Hi, how's it going? First off, thank you for having me. Really a pleasure and really humbled to be up here with a bunch of amazing creators. So I think like maybe I'll start with an intro of like how I got into the space. So, you know, uh, Similar to Amar, I was introduced with Dolly 2 and also Midjourney. And there's kind of like with those tools, a little bit of you don't get full control over the image. So then, Stable Diffusion came out and I went down that rabbit hole and I eventually stumbled across AIR Chill. Robert's in the space sometimes. It's a Twitter space hosted every Tuesday and Thursday. And in that space, the people there are like AI masters. They've been messing around with the stuff since like GAN, like way back in the day. And one of the persons in there, Pharmapsychotic, really helped me like understand like how to go through like Google Colab notebooks, all that sort of stuff. And so yeah, that's kind of like how I got introduced to the space. And I had just been like kind of just observing. I also tried to do another startup with Black here in the audience. It was called Prompt House. It was supposed to be like a two-sided marketplace, but two-sided marketplaces are like extremely hard to build, and it just didn't work out, unfortunately. But yeah, so then I had also been putting out like tutorials on like AI art because I noticed that there was sort of a gap where a lot of people were using Midjourney or Dolly. They weren't being able to like use it like to its full extent. And I noticed particularly when it came to Stable Diffusion, that gap was like pretty big as well. So I posted some threads on like how to use Dream Booth, which is a method to train your own style, characters, sort of that thing, sort of those things. It received some pretty good acclaim, and then since then was like helping people like put it together, sort of like as others had showed me. Did some other things with like showing how to do like 3D with pointy, like in Hugging Face. So yeah, like the main takeaway was I started realizing that like there was a lot of, I guess, friction to use these tools, and there still is today. I was talking with Matt the other day, and like even like spinning up a collab notebook, Hugging Face space, it's extremely difficult. So a couple of buddies and myself, we started hacking away, thinking like, all right, how can we essentially make something like really cool, easy to use? And so that's kind of like what Latent Labs came out of. Essentially, it's really simple. It's a 2x1 panorama with the equal rectangular image that like kind of gives it this illusion of like 3D, but really it's a 360 image. And that's kind of like the starting point for what I think will be like some interesting things down the line. And really, like what we're doing right now is just listening to people, taking in feedback. Right now, the generator is down because we're getting ready to. We'd spent like this entire week developing like our own custom. I don't know how technical the people in the audience are, but it's essentially like our own technical, like custom hosted image server. So we're going to be able to do like a lot of powerful things there. Hopefully, we get it up by end of tonight. But yeah, we've been doing this thing like with full time jobs, so it's been kind of an interesting journey. But yeah, happy to talk about like anything in regards to how to get started with AI art. Researching like Google Colabs, how to stay up to date with like what's going on. Yeah, all those sorts of things. Happy to be just a fountain of knowledge.
Yeah, that's true because I was terrified of Midjourney for a while, and I really didn't do much with Stable Diffusion, just with Dolly. I just kind of stuck with like Night Cafe and Lexica for the longest until I got more comfortable with it. But now I can kind of I understand more where people are coming from with the different tools. And I haven't trained a model yet, but I'm looking forward to that. And I appreciate all these tutorials that you put out here. People are using them. I definitely use them, and it's kind of like once you learn one thing, you can kind of it makes it a little bit easier to learn the next thing or to adapt that. And your tool, it seems like it has a lot of room to grow. It's kind of it's just really interesting. At first, I wasn't sure what to make of it, but then it seems like I saw somebody had a room. It was kind of like a scary movie thing where they were going from room to room, like the escape room type thing. And I thought that was a pretty cool use for it. So it seems like there's a lot of potential for it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like, like the first version, we wanted to put it out there just so that we could get an understanding of like if people wanted to use it and if there was even like, demand for it. So like to be completely honest, I was a little embarrassed with like the first product because the images weren't that good. There was like a seam, like we knew how to fix it, but the difficulty in a lot of that stuff is like you have to get your own like image server up and running. And that's like pretty difficult to do. Like we had been working on it, but we're like, we're not going to be able to get it out in time. So yeah, we're just like, you know what? Let's just launch it. Let's just get it out there. And yeah, we did that, and we got a lot of great feedback. And thank you everybody for supporting us. But really, like Amar had said, I think like the importance of it is like just putting something out there, right? And then once you put it out there, other people are going to get inspired and like kind of, then we begin to talk to them and like see like what our users are using it for. People are using it for like scenes and like making their like little short films or they're then feeding that into the forum and like making like animations with it that are kind of like the image is like hallucinating. I heard like somebody said they were using it for like skyboxes and games and like all these other things. But yeah, like really like what I think like the core of it is like how do you make like a simple interface that there was somebody in the Discord the other day, he was like 67 and he's like, hey, like, I need some help. It's not there yet where it's just so easy to use, but that's ultimately what we strive for. It's very much so like in the beginning, but I think like as somebody was just mentioning, prompting is difficult because it's kind of like trying to understand that like a technical jargon, right? So how do you remove that? I think that's going to be an interesting thing as the months come and people continue to build. But yeah, sorry for rambling on there.
No, thank you so much. Thank you. Robert, did you want to say something?
Yeah, that's how I come into this community. Siri was launched in my house because I was the Matt of tech for a long time. I had a very famous blog for a decade, and I was the most followed person on Twitter for the first 2 years of his life. And Siri was the first consumer app that used AI in it. So I've been following this community from the start and understanding it. And I have no art skills. In fact, I started using these tools and my art wasn't nearly as good as any of yours. So I figured out very quickly that you all have skills that I don't have. And so I just am going to retweet all of your art and help you get exposure to another audience, right? Where was I going to go with this? Where we're heading is a holodeck. Where we can talk to the holodeck and have it take you places. Hey, holodeck, take us to the Taj Mahal. It can be used by all of your art, right? Hey, take us to a weird forest made by Heather, right? Or whatever scene or environment you create. Unity and Apple and Stable Diffusion are working on this environment. And I probably don't know about a couple that are working on it. In this environment, you're also going to have a series of AIs that you can talk to. Virtual beings is the way I put it. Siri is going to be someday is going to be a thing you talk to, a humanoid thing, right? Or a robot thing or a dog thing, whatever thing you want to talk to. But soon you're going to be talking to this in your 3D environment. And it's going to be your virtual assistant and or a whole committee of virtual assistants. I'm not already expecting to have a committee of virtual assistants sitting around me from different points of view, all done through something like a chat GPT. And you might say, well, that's crazy. Apple's building it. That's what Apple's building. Apple is building an AI mesh in the house. It already is in my house. There's already 2 AI inferencing engines in my house that nobody knows about. Very few people know about. 21% of the M1 chip is neural. It has not been turned on. And what I do is I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who are building things, right? This morning I was talking to another one. And this guy who built this app called Supernormal called me up and said, "Do you have any clue what Apple has?" And I go, tell me about it. The M1 chip, he told me, was built for the autonomous car, for the computer vision system on the autonomous car. And he says that that part of the chip has been throttled, he told me. In other words, Apple has been keeping developers away from that part of the chip. Okay. He said he found a back door. He builds an AI that listens to your video conferences, writes a transcript, and then at the end of the call, it goes through the transcript and finds patterns like, did we talk about tasks? Did we talk about themes? And builds you some notes from your transcript in 300 milliseconds, which is a fraction of a second. It does that. And it does that on the M1 processor that's in my house. Right next to that is an ultra wideband chip, which is a very interesting radio network. I've been talking to Stanford professors who teach radio about it. That radio network makes augmented reality better. It makes it so that Apple's device won't have float. If you're dancing with a virtual thing on your table, the virtual thing will be locked to your table in a way that others like Magic Leap or HoloLens cannot do because they're only using computer vision to do the same thing. So I'm starting to hear from different entrepreneurs who are teaching me about the infrastructure changes coming, and and I'm talking to a lot of people who are on this call and elsewhere, and trying to cover it and trying to figure out where to take it. I used to be a strategist at Microsoft, so I enjoy figuring out what's about to come and write books or whatever about it. I've written 4 books. The last 2 books were about spatial computing, which is how to see things in 3D, how to build things in 3D, from autonomous cars to robot systems to augmented reality glasses. They're all the same, by the way. So soon we're going to get some really cool, amazing tools for human beings, and this community that you're building, Heather, and a few other people are building, is going to be the rock stars of this new media, right? Because we're about to move from 2D media like TV to 3D media. And generative AI is how you're going to create that stuff because it's way too expensive. Here's a story. Edward Saatchi created a company called Fable Studios. He first created that at Zuckerberg's company, Oculus Story Studios, spun it out, and he made a product called Wolves in the Walls, which won him an Emmy. And in Wolves in the Walls, you're in a girl's house, and she's drawing on the walls. And so you're in VR, and you see this girl bouncing around the house, drawing on the walls and jumping around. And then she comes over to you and starts talking to you. This is the first time I've had that experience in an entertainment property where the entertainment property is talking to me. And then she hands me a virtualized flashlight. I take it from her and I start shining it at her. It works like a real flashlight. It's amazing. And in that experience, there's a Polaroid camera. I pick up a Polaroid camera and start playing with it and take a picture of her. It spits out a Polaroid picture, a virtual Polaroid picture, and develops in front of you. And there's a few other things. That experience cost $15 million to make. That's way too expensive. And you all know the trend. Generative AI is going to make the cost of doing something like that way, way lower. And the people who are going to create that are people who I'm talking to right now. People who understand how to do prompt engineering, how to get something really beautiful out of the AIs for very little cost, right? And so this is the world that I'm dreaming about and talking to a lot of people about, and talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, and talking to Stability AI, right? By the way, this is the first time Apple has blessed a startup publicly. Apple publicly said we're working with Stability AI to get their AI running on the M1 chip. This is a company that's only a year old. For Apple to publicly bless a company like that that's only a year old is unprecedented. So we're about to get into a new world, and you guys are the pioneers.
Wow, Richard, Robert, I'm like all over the place with that. That I thank you so much for explaining that, and I'm so thrilled that you're here because I wasn't really aware of who you were, and I apologize. But then I saw like, wow, your account is just mind blowing. And I see now, I thank you so much for explaining how
Yeah, I'm
this all got.
I'm the only human who follows 35,000 people in the AI world. First of all, you can't. If you
Wow.
started up an account today, you can only follow 2,000 people. All right, so even if you wanted to follow everybody I'm following, you can't. And I'm retweeting everything that I see in real time. Um, that's cool.
It's
Right,
amazing. Yeah.
right.
Wow. I'm like, well,
And the news is flowing, like Matt could tell you, right?
yeah, yeah, right, Matt. My goodness.
I've never seen the tech industry kick out so much innovation so quickly, and you're seeing a real exponential growth in what's coming. A lot of people. This is what I keyed in on. I just kept seeing rafts of new people, joining the AI world, and so I started following everybody.
So do you think has it sped up lately, or is it because of it a lot more than?
Yes, it's speeding up because we're in an exponential world where the AI is getting better exponentially, right? Autonomous car is a good way to explain this, right? My Tesla car, when I first got it 5 years ago, I bought FSD. It couldn't do anything. It couldn't take an off ramp. It couldn't stop at a stoplight. It couldn't change lanes. Now it does all that, right?
Oh,
So, and it's fixing the issues in an exponential way. God, I could go for hours. So yeah, it is speeding up, and I don't think it'll slow down. I think the next 18 months are going to be absolutely insane.
do you think too, also because of it was open, like there's so much that's out there that people are able, the open source, everybody's able to kind of get their hands on things like with Chat
Yeah.
GPT so quickly, they were able to spin up stuff before they could privatize it or to, limit it.
Yes, and the papers. This stuff is all being done by really, really amazing people at places like Stanford and Google, right? The papers that they're sticking out, they can't patent a lot of that ideas. So that's why you're seeing, diffusion AIs all of a sudden get adopted by a whole raft of different companies and different people, right? Doing
Uh-huh.
different. And the flow of papers is incredible. I mean, I go to the computer vision conference, 49 papers on just neural radiance fields alone. Neural radiance fields are these new 3D scenes that AI creates after it ingests 2D stuff, 2D photos and videos, right? Luma AI is a great example of that. And I know some of the artists are playing with neural radiance fields as part of their art. So that'll be a new thing to learn about for a lot of people.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I met with one artist who takes video of his TV screen, sends the video to Luma AI. Luma AI sends back a neural radiance field. Then he imports that radiance field into his own environment.
What?
Right?
I don't even know what that
You could
means.
import it into Unity or something like that, right? And then
Oh,
he manipulates that again, right? And we haven't even really gotten to where that's automated in some way.
wow.
Yeah.
I know people had their hands up. Asher, did you want to say something? Or AP and Zhang? Asher, you have your mic.
Yes,
Okay.
Heather, I want to thank Robert because he retweeted many times he retweeted many of my art many times, and when we started a newsletter, he also gave his advice. And I have question for Robert. So Robert, so right now we can do like text to image, and then like we will be able to make like things that from the text. So like I'm making like few like the children toys or maybe the car wheels, like really for kids it's really really nice. So do you think that where are there any company that right now they are doing text to image and then image to real products like 3D printer? But I understand that there are few people on Twitter that was telling me that in order for us to print that from the photo that we generate, they need a 3D layout, which sometimes they need human to really kind of like manual adjust it. So do you think that anyone in the AI tech industry is making this kind of
Yeah.
thing? And also I have,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. There's a
please,
whole,
please tell them.
and Matt's website is probably the best place to go look at for finding tooling. There's a whole bunch of companies coming along that are doing this kind of stuff and going further. One of them, and I forget the name. Hold on a second. I'm really horrible with names, so I have to look at the text that I was doing. Leonardo AI yesterday was showing me that they could create art with their program, and he showed me, oh, let's build a character, a woman character. And then he just highlighted her eyes, and he started talking to the prompt system he built and said, I want sunglasses. And all of a sudden, she was wearing sunglasses, right? So there's a lot of innovation like that that's happening, and I don't know all of them. I would have to go over to Matt's website and myself and start looking around and remembering which ones I've seen that are doing this kind of work. But you're going to see a lot of innovation in the next year along these lines. A lot of change is coming. I mean, we're about to mess with the real world, right?
Yeah, we already are. It looks like.
Well, you already are. Wait until you have a headset on and you can go aroround and talk to something and say, put a purple tree over there, and boom, a purple tree shows up,
Oh my
right?
goodness, that is just wow. AP, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say really quick. Oh, I know Matt has his hands up too. So I'll be really
Yeah, he
brief.
probably has an answer to the
Yeah,
tool. He knows his
yeah.
tools real well.
Well, I'll take it like another level below that or above, I guess. But yeah, so a lot of this stuff is open source as well. So like when you're mentioning like 3D meshing, OpenAI has Point E, which enables you to do that. You can like optimize and do all those sorts of things. So like for the people out there like interested in entrepreneurship and product building, a lot of these tools are open source. And really, I think the beauty of it allows like anybody, like really anybody from anywhere, to go out and compete and like put out a business out there or startup or something, like without trying to dox myself. So I live in Compton, right? And I always kind of give it like a chip on my shoulder when everyone's like, Cerebral Valley, that's where everyone's in Silicon Valley, like I highly disagree with that, right? Like you can like I'm over here in Compton, trying to build something like to compete with them, right? So it's like the beauty of it is like all this stuff is open source, right? Anybody can build it. You just have to do some digging, put in some time, some elbow grease, some hard work, and you can figure it out. There's a lot of great resources out there, like One Little Coder, Matt's YouTube videos. But yeah, like that's the beauty of this all. That Stable Diffusion came in, made things open source, and then kind of like everybody else. Well, OpenAI also did some open source stuff that led to that. But anyways, this stuff's open source. So yeah, that's the exciting thing about it.
Yeah, I know, man. Thank you. And Asher, you finally got the mic. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yo, I want to apologize first of all for my tardiness and my bad connection. I have no idea what was going on. I'll blame that second part on Twitter, but yeah. Um, just wanted to say, man, being amongst all these creatives, and that's what we are now, essentially. No matter what kind of background you come from, AI has been the catalyst and the reason why people that aren't from artistic backgrounds can now make art and can monetize off that. I mean, I'm sure, like, because I've had so many conversations. I tell people what I do. I do animation and video editing, and they always say, you know what, like I've got so many ideas and I wish I could do that. Now that's not even part of the vocabulary anymore for anybody, because anyone could do anything with any tool out there, like like people are just absolutely killing it. Heather, you're killing it. Everyone else on this Twitter space is killing it right now. You've got like Matt, who's got celebrating I think is 100,000 views on YouTube now, and is doing that full time. Like, and it's just creating so many opportunities right now. You got tools like, I'm not sure if anyone's heard of it. Maybe you have. Maybe I'm late to the show, but Synthesia. You can like go on there and make an AI video, like an AI video just by typing text, and you've got like an avatar there, and you can literally make it say what you want. So imagine you can sell courses and you can make marketing videos and you can do training stuff now. Like the possibilities are endless. There is literally no excuse not to be able to hustle and start a side hustle or just do anything. It's absolutely nuts. And it's just an exciting place that we're going down right now. Like I know a lot of people probably are still fearful about losing their jobs and stuff like that, and probably haven't got their head wrapped around it. But once they do, they'll see the amazing things that this AI tech is going to take this world into, and it's going to be absolutely sick. My job.
Good job. Good place to drop it. You're exactly right. Matt, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so there was actually two things. So I didn't actually have a 3D tool queued up for Zhang, but I found one, so I did wanted to shout it out. There's a tool called Kaedim 3D. That's Kaedim 3D.com. It's actually backed by NVIDIA and Roblox and Valve and Epic Games and a whole bunch of massive companies. But they're a tool that takes 2D art and converts it into 3D art. So that's one to keep an eye on there. But I was actually raising my hand because I wanted to ask Robert a question. I'm sort of fanboying out that he's on this call because I've been following him for a while now and love everything he shares. But I had a question. I am trying to wrap my head around a lot of these AI papers that come out. As they come out, I open them and I read them, and I'd say about 75% of the time I get halfway through them and my eyes glaze over because I don't know what half the language is that it's actually saying in the papers. So I was curious if you had any advice for people who want to read these papers and want to better understand what they're trying to say, but some of the technology and the terminology is a little bit over their heads, because I want to go down that rabbit hole even deeper, and I don't know what I'm reading half the time.
I mean, I have a friend, Adrian Kaler, who built the computer vision system for the first Stanford autonomous car, and which became the Waymo company, right? He writes on the whiteboard in math equations. Like if I talk to him about how a car is doing something, or an augmented, he also built a core pieces of the Magic Leap augmented reality glasses, right? And he just thinks like that. I don't. I got through 2 years of calculus, right, in college before I got tired of that. It's tough. I'm always asking. By the way, you can ask ChatGPT for help. Like, what is this term, right? And it'll answer you. It's pretty good at teaching you about generative AI, right? And teaching you what's going on. So I'm constantly talking to ChatGPT to try to read papers. One thing I've noticed is the teams that write the papers, in the first, 5 paragraphs, they usually tell you what the paper is going to be about, and they almost always bury the lead into like the last paragraph or the second to last paragraph, which is what it actually does. And when you find that, then you sort of understand the top level. Oh, this is a nerf generator. It's taking poses from something and creating neural radiance fields. Then it gets a little bit easier to understand. I'm not reading the math though. I mean, I don't have a need to understand, the innards of it. I'm trying to understand the big picture and what it means to companies or to, entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. And there's some actually really cool tools out there that I've come across.
Yep.
There's one called Explain Papers,
Yep.
where you could toss the paper in and ask the paper questions, and that's been pretty helpful as
Yep.
well. So yeah, I really appreciate that. The deeper I go down this rabbit hole, the more I realize I have no idea what I'm talking about. And
I don't think anybody
so
does unless you're building it, and I'm not a builder.
So, yep, just being in that perpetual learner, and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know what I don't know.
No, but I was one of the first to tell people that Apple's going to be a Nerf viewer, and that's why I got real excited about Nerfs real early, like last year, and then I started reading all the papers and understanding and talking to people about what these mean, and it starts making a picture after a while, right? It gets easier over time because when you first hear it, it's all foreign terms, right? It's like, what is a nerf? Start right there, right? I had to figure out what a nerf was by talking to people because I didn't understand it when I first heard the term. I was like, what the hell is it? It sounded like science fiction, right? Oh, it's just a 3D scene. Oh, okay. Right? And so you can simplify it for people. It's like, oh, this is a 3D scene that an AI hallucinates, right? Why do you want that? Well, you're going to have augmented reality glasses on soon, and you're going to want to walk around the scenes, right? Oh, You want to go to a 3D football game. Unity showed me a 3D football game done with Nerfs. They've been working on Nerfs for 3 years and they haven't shipped a product yet. That's going to change this year as well, right? So you start talking to different people about technology that you see in the papers, and all of a sudden you're seeing a pattern that maybe even they don't see. I told many people at the Stanford AI party a couple of weeks ago about what Apple's doing, and they had no clue. And these are people who are really smart running companies, building these AIs. So you can get ahead of even the smart people sometimes.
That's so there's so much going on. It's hard to keep up with. Asher, go ahead, and Midas, please. I see that. Thank you for joining us, and everybody that came in later. Thank you so much for joining us. This is an awesome discussion. I mean, it's just amazing. We have so many great people here. Thank you. And I'm going to try to get to everybody that is requesting, but I apologize because we'll run out of time. We'll go a little longer, but this is just so amazing and
You actually
important.
try to end your spaces. When I do spaces, we go all night into
Well, no, I
7
didn't know
a.m.
you
and
were
we're still
coming.
going.
Now I'm like, I want to stay here all night. So, but I'm gonna try. But Asher, you had a question. You wanted to say something, and then Midas, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and I do apologize if this has already been covered because I've been in transit listening to my 3-year-old sing "The Wheels on a Bus Go Round and Round," so I probably didn't hear it. But are there any kind of particular monetization methods that have been successful for people that kind of stick out at all?
Beyond getting Claire to buy your NFT?
Say again, sorry.
Claire is is a leader in the AI art space, and she's been buying people's NFTs that they created using AI to create their art, right? And there's a whole community of people
Okay.
who are buying NFT art, which is sort of smart because in 3 years, the people who today are doing the AI art, like what most of the people on this space is doing, are going to be the rock stars. There's going to be people who watch, Heather create AI art in real time around you, right? She's going to be like, put something over here. Okay, no, over here, right? And it's going to be enjoyable to watch her control the prompt system that she's built, right? And talk to the various engines to get the result that she wants on the wall and in front of you, right? And if you own her early work, maybe it's going to be fairly profitable, or something at least to tell the kids, hey, I have Heather's first, AI art before she got famous.
That sounds good because I'd like that's what I was planning on doing eventually. Thank you. Wow.
But AI artists are going to have a bunch of different business models, from sponsorship to selling their art to corporations, or doing performance art. Some of the artists I've been talking to are really going to be good at performance art of this kind, right? And creating, one of them, Robert Haslam, showed me for 3 hours. He took over my phone and was just shoving. He's done tens of thousands of images on AI art, and he's telling a story that morphs from one scene to the next in images, and he was pulling images onto my phone while telling me stories about his childhood. And then the art was him as a child, and it was morphing from scene to scene in a very unique way. This kind of stuff is going to be, you're going to see that kind of artist get hired by Salesforce to do performance art in front of thousands of people at their conferences and stuff like that.
That's what I wanted to ask you as far like for monetization, like for people like us that were just, diving in it completely. What kind of, I guess that it would open up a new thing. Do you think there will be more need for consultants or people who can teach the workforces or different companies, businesses, how to get what they want, or to find out how to assess what they want and to figure out a way like with prompt crafting? Um, like what would you suggest for people who are AI art or just dealing with any GPT product? That the crafting of the prompt, it means everything, right? So either it works either way for both.
The reason, I mean, go back to when I started doing my AI art, I wasn't getting the same results as like, Destiny or whatever.
Hmm.
And when you start talking to these artists, they have a very, very rich vocabulary because they've been artists for a while, right? They went to art. Many of the people listening have gone to art school or have been doing art for a decade, really have a rich vocabulary, and they've been studying other artists. And so they have a vocabulary of who Picasso is, right? Normal people, they don't really have a good, strong idea of that. I certainly don't have that kind of vocabulary to talk to these engines with. And um, yeah, right. So if you have a better vocabulary to talk to it, you're going to get better results from it, and you're going to build systems with it, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing that programmers doing. They're actually using ChatGPT to write code. Hey, ChatGPT, can you write me a Twilio API call to hook up this phone in front of me and make it do phone calls? Because that's what Twilio does. Twilio is the phone system underneath Uber. For instance, when you call a driver in Uber, you're actually making a Twilio API call
Uh-huh.
that makes a phone call, right? So you start, and right there, if you don't know what Twilio is, you can't hook up your phone, right?
Yeah.
So you have to learn what Twilio is to hook up your phone, right? And eventually, AI artists are going to be putting all sorts of things like phones on my table in front of me, and will they work? Yeah, you're going to use ChatGPT to hook them up to do things.
So what would you suggest for people just kind of go wherever, whatever part of this technology we're involved with, use the experience because I'm not an artist at all. I just learned how to code last year. Do you just take like other knowledge you have and add that in and just kind of master what you can and see how
Yeah.
marketable you could be in the
And that's
future?
why we're all influencing each other, right? You
Yeah.
see, Santa makes a cool piece of AI art, and you're like, how did he do that? Right? And at least you know it's possible.
Yeah.
That's one reason I've been retweeting so many AI artists because I want to show the people what the breadth, what breadth of things this engine, whether you're talking about Stable Diffusion or Midjourney, what it does,
Yeah.
what's possible with it.
Well,
That gets people inspired. As soon as you know it's possible, then you can figure out and do some homework. Maybe even call that person up and go, "How did you create that image?"
yeah. Yeah,
Ask.
that's I love the sharing of information and just because we're passionate about it and just like the openness and to be with this many people that are so interested about learning this technology and what can we do. We're not competing to see who can, outdo others. How can we use it in our everyday lives and then add on to society, period. Um, Taylor, go ahead and Midas, if you want to go ahead and speak after that, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just wanted to tack on to that, but first off, just say like, wow, this has been an amazing space. I'm just like over the moon. The fact that Robert, you're here, I've been following you. Matt Wolf, earlier you mentioned how you are just starstruck by all the names here. I'm starstruck by you. Like I'm like, okay, Matt is here. Heather really pulled one out of the bag for this. So I'm so happy to see all of these amazing brains and voices and thinkers just kind of all in one space, sort of chopping up the nuances of what these tools are capable of for us as creators. And so I wanted to touch on like the monetization a little bit and say that the tools that are at our disposal, all of the generative AI tools and stuff that we're doing with that, it doesn't detract from, I think, the creative and strategic experience of building something monetizable. If anything, it's leverage, it's digital leverage. It's a tool that improves your efficiency of that experience that you're building. And I don't think monetizing comes from necessarily like one single source, especially with us. A lot of us are creators, entrepreneurs. We have a range of revenue streams that kind of work together. So productization doesn't just mean packaging up something like AI and then just selling it. Like you have to be able to have a strategic vision of what you want to do with that, and how the AI tools can actually help you get there is the key question. And I think that like overall, the people who understand how these tools work, I think many of us here are in that boat, or we're well on our way to. And Robert, you mentioned this earlier, but like those of us who are here understanding it and getting under the hood and can explain it to others, can understand the nuances of this tech and how to really harness it to our benefit and help others along the way find ways to harness it as well. Those of us that can do that are going to be the ones, uniquely and primely positioned to build a path towards monetizing it, whether that's, product based, like courses or resources or materials, or whether that's service based, in the form of like literally executing creative content or consulting with businesses or other creators who want to hire your ear for it. So I think it's like a broad range of ways that we can look at this, like this view of everything that's happening and blowing up in the internet when it comes to AI tools, and like finding the ways that we can really leverage those to build something monetizable. It's not a one size fits all solution, and it's not something that just comes up overnight. There are definitely ways, but nothing bothers me more than some of the Twitter bros of saying like 10 ways to use AI to make money right now. I think that there's definitely a path for that, but I do think on a larger scale, there's so much more to it that goes into it.
I see so many of those kinds of things that I'm pretty sure AI is writing those.
100%.
They're always the same
Yes.
form. They're always the same pattern. It's like somebody has an AI that's creating that stuff. In fact,
Absolutely.
that was who I was talking to this morning, is a woman who's created a AI social media company, and her AI analyzes your tweets and analyzes other things, and it tells you how to write tweets to get better engagement and better sales, right? Stuff like that. So that's a whole nother side of the AI being used to create content, right?
Wow. Well, Midas, I would love to have you speak, because I love Leonardo. Oh my goodness, that platform is just amazing. I've spent so much time on it. So thank you so much for coming. And please feel free. This is Midas with Leonardo AI, and tell us what's going on.
Hey guys, thanks for the invite here. So yeah, I'm actually the chief marketing officer for Leonardo.ai, and this is a platform that it generates style consistent assets. So the idea is to help game developers, AI artists, and all sorts of verticals to just create uh, assets and create their images, and like expand their imagination throughout several different tools that we've been building. Our idea is to become like this content platform where you can pretty much have all the different tools that have been popping up on the whole scene. So right now we have like a canvas tool. We also have the general prompting. You can fine tune your models. So if you have some of the stuff that I've been doing, for example, for my own personal stuff, is that I have a Facebook page with a lot of users, and I found that, for example, you have like viral themes, like people create articles, and then you see like some kind of images that have a certain style. Oh, sorry, here I have a construction here, but so you have a certain style, and you want to replicate that. And sometimes what I found is that using the other tools where it's kind of difficult sometimes, just like do it. So the idea here is that you can train your own model with those images that you have and start creating more assets in a similar style. So that's pretty much the value proposition. We also want to just add a lot of the latest developments. We're about to add some instruct picks to picks, but with the like from one of the ML team, one of the ML guys that we have is a Disco Diffusion OG that created his own version, and we have a lot of like genius guys. I think I'm the least experienced or the least genius from all of them. If I can even call myself genius, because I'm not, but they are like the guys that are building this, they're freaking crazy. Just coming up, you see a paper, and the next day they're building an implementation of that. So it's pretty interesting to be in this space. And talking a little bit about the monetization part of things, I agree with Taylor. Like, there's gonna be a lot of new ways to monetize your skills, like your promptings too. I've seen people like Habi, which is another guy here in the AI space. That he's been building, like a collection of prompts for other tools, and I think that's gonna be like one of the verticals that people can get into, right? Like, if you know how to talk to these computers, if you know how to talk to these AIs, that's gonna be a good way for you to actually start monetizing your skills. Because somebody was telling me, hey, what do you think, like, is prompt engineering gonna be disappearing in the nearby term? And I'm like, I have like this idea that it's like having an assistant, and the assistant just arrived to your company, and then you're like, yeah, create an offer about this book that I have. And if you don't have any context, if you don't know how to explain to this person what exactly do you want, it's going to come up with anything. But if you actually have all these ideas, like, hey, we want, like, this is our target market, this is the kind of offer we want, this is the product that we have, and you start guiding this assistance, which in a way the AI that we're seeing is kind of like having a very smart assistant, but that has no context about your business, then you're going to be able to do a lot of stuff. So I can also see a lot of consultants appearing in the nearby term. I can also see like having artists create. I'm not sure if you guys were around when the Teespring craze happened on Facebook, and everybody was selling their T-shirts with the different designs. And I know a lot of people made a lot of money out of that. But I can see, like people creating canvas, people creating T-shirts, people creating all kind of stuff and selling them using AI. And also, as Robert said, having the ability to start coding. Like, I'm not a developer, but I've seen, you know how using chat gpt you can start monetizing your knowledge by creating software, even if you're not a software developer. So you can just ask ChatGPT to tell you how to code something. Like, I was doing this dream application just to test my coding skills, and I was able to build a whole the sign up form connected to Stripe, create the API connections for OpenAI, like all this kind of stuff that in like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it would have been impossible for me because yeah, I know a little bit of JavaScript and all of that, but the the skill that is required or was required to do it, it has changed a lot in the last, I would say, like 3 months, ever since ChatGPT appeared. Like, you could do a lot of stuff with Copilot, but now with ChatGPT and all these tools, it's crazy. Like, I got the images from Leonardo. Like, I trained a model using some free images, and I created my own images. I used ChatGPT to create the codes. I connected it to OpenAI, and suddenly I had an application working for me. And I'm like, dude, I'm not a coder. Like, what the hell? How can you do this stuff? So of course I see a lot of monetization happening for people who are just creative and have an idea and start seeing different problems appearing in the landscape and be like, hey, perhaps they can do something that solves this problem. And then you start asking ChatGPT how to code that, or you can ask, Leonardo. You can ask Dali, or and any other software that you have. You can start creating a lot of stuff, and I think that's where the opportunity is gonna be. Like, all these companies, they also want to get into the AI space, right? I know people from the publishing industry, and they have no idea. Like, everybody's talking about ChatGPT and AI and all these magical technologies, but they have no idea how to use that. And it's kind of like when people were teaching others how to use Google search. And I even know people that don't know how to search at all on Google. And it's been, I don't know, 15 years or so. So imagine the opportunities that we're going to have with AI, just like teaching people how to use this stuff. I can see a whole lot of opportunities, monetization, and probably in 1 year, everybody here is going to be like, man, I have my own story of what happened. Like, I went with this company and they wanted to use AI for this and this and that. And because I knew all these tools, like Matt does, like he has a great director of tools, like he's probably going to be able to just connect people and be like, hey, yeah, you can use this and this and this tool for whatever your problem is right now, and you can optimize this and you can do this and this and that. So yeah, I'm super positive of what's going to happen in the landscape in the upcoming year. Like, I think we don't have any idea of what's going to be happening in the next 5 years. If we're trying to see the future, that's going to be quite interesting. Like, probably Robert, he's going to be able to, because he's well connected with everybody. But I mean, like the common person has no idea of what's about to happen. And well, thank you very much for allowing me to speak and be with you guys. Shout outs to everybody here.
Thank you so much, Miles. I really appreciate it. So it's such an honor to be with as many people that are so it's so much skill here and so many ideas and creativity. Linus, thank you for popping in here. I appreciate. I'm sorry I didn't invite. I sent out all my reminders, but I didn't want to pester people. But I appreciate
No
you.
worries. I
And then
appreciate it.
Adnan, when he's finished, Adnan can tell us about the text to video opus. I mean, there's just so much happening. But thank you so much, Linus. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for allowing me to join. So nice to see everyone. Some familiar faces: Robert, Matt, you, Heather, Taylor as well. Midas, Marissa. Nice to see you. And Acid, see you in here as well. So it's been a wild couple of weeks for me, to be honest. I didn't really plan on becoming an AI nerd. I've been building stuff with GPT-3 for quite some time, but my head kind of exploded back in November, December, when I started using Dolly and Midjourney more professionally, and I've just been sharing my journey as I'm kind of learning myself, and it's been really fun, kind of like getting everyone hyped up and sharing what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm not going to take the floor for that long, but next time I'd be happy to kind of contribute to the conversation.
Well, Linus, you've provided so many great prompts and walkthroughs, and you just put so many ideas out there. And even your the bedtime story, that I haven't had a chance to use it. My kids are older, but that's just you were doing that already. You had that product, and there's so much. You've seen a lot, like the way you were showing. You gave prompts for how to develop how to create kids images to kind of match something, just to even give us an idea. I had no idea how to make a child, and for the first time I was able to get like a Pixar looking child, with whatever, just different types of hair and different things like that, and different ethnicities. It's just so amazing to be able to do that. And thank you so much for sharing all of your experience with that with everybody. And then telling people, hey, try it, you try it, and reply reply in the comments. And I love doing that too. Do you see, like, have you seen a lot of growth from that in people that have become interested in just creating things that weren't before?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think the whole kind of the space currently has been quite protective of prompts, and like I can see a lot of creative people that come from like a traditional creative background that they kind of like safeguarding their prompting in maybe an unhealthy way, because I don't think like prompting the way that we're doing it now is not going to be around forever. So it's like not a skill that I would say that like, oh, you need to learn prompting because that's the next 5 to 10 years. No, it's not going to be like that. And I think the more people that can like get exposure to how to use the tool today, the faster we will see like a curve of adoption happen. And the key here is to get everyone versatile enough in this in these tools, because like if we start to safeguard and keep things to ourselves, it's just going to create a weird kind of ambiance. I think knowledge sharing is very important to do early, to get as many people as possible into these tools, because they're here, like they're not going to go anywhere. The genie is kind of out of the bottle. So I'm a little bit against this whole, I did this prompt and I'm never going to share it with anyone, because like it's just going to be maybe a few more months, and then we're going to have like reverse prompt engineering tools everywhere. So if you want to see how something was made, you can just paste an image and you get the correct tags back. So I think I'm more for an open environment, and I'm going to keep sharing as much as I can, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I saw a tool I think I tried out recently that did that. It was decent. It wasn't that great, but I believe you're right, where you upload the image, and it could even be a stock image, and it came up with a prompt. If it was, as long as it was a stable diffusion image, so it used that, and it told, and then you could generate it from there. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Like we have clip interrogator is something that's currently
yes,
kind of working, but these things will just be omnipresent as well. So I think first movers now, it's hard, like if you're an artist and you come up with a very specific style and you're creating a lot of content, and that I can understand why you're kind of like safeguarding your stuff, because it's literally your IP. But then people that are making logos and they're like, oh, I'm going to sell this prompt, like, yeah, that's fine, you can try that, but I mean, ultimately sharing is going to win. Like, and I think that's what I'm seeing with my profile, right? Like I'm sharing content, people show up for it, they like it, and they're engaging and they're doing their own take on it. Most of the things I share honestly are quite boring from my perspective. What I really enjoy seeing is like what everyone else is creating, because like I'm showing you like, here you can do something with this spaghetti, and then I get like 100 images back where people just completely make it into their own things, and that's powerful, I think. And I think that's where we need to see more. I hope we're going to see more of that. I know, Matt, you're doing your thing over on YouTube now, and I would really encourage you to kind of like get people hyped up and do more stuff and share more stuff. I would love to see how that could fare over there.
Yeah, I love that. I totally agree. I don't know how many times I get emails and DMs behind the scenes from people going, "Hey, you should make a course on this. Hey, you should sell these prompts. Hey, you should better monetize this." And I'm like, "No, I don't really want to. I'm just nerding out. I'm just excited about this stuff. I want other people to feel my excitement and share the excitement around what I'm doing. That's really my intention here. I never want to make a course. I never want to gate this stuff. I never want to sell it. I just want everybody to nerd out with me. That's sort of my whole intention around what I'm doing here. And so I'm totally in agreement. And I think there's a window of opportunity for a lot of things. I think right now, going back to the monetization question that Asher asked earlier, you've got things like you can sell stock photos with your AI generated art. I think that's a window of opportunity right now. I don't think that window of opportunity is going to stay open. I think we're going to see, well, we've already seen Shutterstock go and add their own generative art inside of Shutterstock, right? I think once this becomes more democratized and anybody can figure out how to do it, and like Linus said, the like prompt engineering is just this short window right now, but there's going to be layers on top of prompt engineering where you can drag and drop stuff, or you can use natural language and it'll write prompts for you. We're already seeing that kind of stuff. So I think any sort of monetization efforts with this stuff right now is just kind of a window of opportunity that's going to pretty quickly close at the rate things are moving. So all that to say, totally in agreement with you, Linus.
Yeah, that's good. I am working on a course, but it's not that I want to like shill prompt engineering in any way. It's more like I'm working on a course in the creative aspect, like how to think creatively about these tools and like how to leverage them, rather than to like, here's a way to write a specific prompt. But yeah, I think you're already educating on your platform, and I think you should just do more of that. And if people are asking for specific things in like courses, whatever, I wouldn't neglect it entirely, but I would try to fit it with you, like what your drive is and your motivation. And if it's not on your radar, then don't do it. But I wouldn't be anti if it's bringing value to some people that are actually looking for value. But like I see too many of these, like, here's like 10 ways to do a logo, and I'll show you everything. Just do this and this and this, and it's $10. I'm like, that's not the way that we're supposed to do these things. That's more like, it feels like the crypto bros are here when that happens, and I'm like slowly walking backwards. Like, I'm exiting the room. Bye bye.
No, I'm totally in agreement, and I'm not anti-course at all. In fact, my business model for the last decade before I went into AI was actually selling online courses. So that's actually what I've done. But there's so many people saying, "Hey, you should teach how to sell, print-on-demand books and make a course on that," and that's just not something that I'm that interested in doing, because I do feel that window of opportunity is going to close very quickly, and I don't want to be out there teaching those kinds of things that I just don't feel like there's a very long window of opportunity for it.
Totally agree. 100%. Yeah.
Well, you're
Totally agree.
showing so much stuff too, Matt, that it's so helpful. You put something out every single day, I think, and it's so helpful because you have like just one thing, one show on voice recorders, or one thing for the AI music, one thing for the image. I was just watching the one yesterday with the image to video and things like that. So I learned from that, and then including the links. And there's just so much out there. We need you to kind of be the YouTube person that is telling us what's out here today, and then you try it, and that helps so much too, to see like, oh, is it even worth it, to see what did you do with the voice recorder, or the voice generator, how you were able to do that, and walking people through those little things. If you concentrated on any one particular topic, you would miss out on so many other things that we need to understand and get an idea. There's just so much out there to filter through to see like what's worth it, what's not. So thank you so much for doing that. It's just so helpful. Um, I know Adnan is here, and I apologize for anybody if I haven't addressed. If you've been requesting the mic, I do apologize. We have a lot of people here, and it's so much going on, and we're well over time. So please, we're staying, but I apologize. I'll try to get to you in the end, but please put any questions you have in the comments, and if any of the guests and people on the panel, if anybody here can answer those questions, please feel free to go ahead and do that. And, look at the people's profiles that are in this room, and, their faces. There's so much talent here in different ways. Follow these people and see what's going on. And there's so much to learn from it. So please, I apologize if I can't get to everybody today. And we're going to do this every week. And there's so much to talk about. I just appreciate so much everybody coming here. And I was just trying to, we're focusing on basically a few things, but it's just great to generate this much conversation about the overview, the overall landscape of what's going on, so that we can kind of know where to go for information. And we do better to share it as like a hive, rather than trying to keep it siloed. So thank you so much. And Adnan, could you tell us a little bit about Opus in the text to 3D world?
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah. Interesting to hear a lot of interesting a lot of things about how the landscape is now. Everybody sees where things are going, and I guess personally, like, it's a very exciting time for us. And we're kind of almost like an anomaly. Robert here, actually, we met a while ago in 2019, I believe. And we showed him like what we were working on. And that's like long before generative AI or anybody was even thinking that can be a thing. And of course, like, we've been through quite a bit since then. And since ChatGPT came out, and then stability and all that, and suddenly everybody was talking about it, and we're like, oh, holy crap, okay, now this thing is going mainstream, right? Because when we started, like, people were like, oh, what you're doing is cool, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in 5 years. It's not going to happen in 10 years. And some people are like, oh, it's not going to happen in 20 years. And we were like, no, it's going to happen in next year. And yeah, so a little bit about us. We're actually not we're not a prompt engineering, or we didn't start with this, I guess, the cycle of AI hype. We started a while ago in 2019, and our entire thing was that we wanted to democratize one thing that we feel very passionate about, very strongly about, which is 3D design, 3D content creation. And we started with this vision of democratizing it, like literally taking something that my grandmother can use or my mother-in-law can use, who is on Instagram all the time, or on WhatsApp all the time. So we wanted to really bring the power of storytelling, because that's, I think, something that we have lost with digital revolution and a whole bunch of design tools which are very tailored toward technical creators. And I would say kind of something similar that I see a lot of people talking about currently, prompt engineering. So we're not a prompt engineering company. We don't believe that prompt engineering is a way to go or even something that will stay here. We believe that it's going to be simple, plain language, right? And right now, what we're doing is literary style English. That if you write something in English, it becomes a video game as you're typing it. Not a 3D design asset, not I would say textures or images, but literally a game as you're typing it, and as you change it, it keeps on changing, literally like and um, you know that's something that once you give it to somebody who's non-technical, who has never done game design, doesn't know anything about texture, assets, prompts, magical keywords like trending on ArtStation or like, mystical and all these. And then I see some like, really strange parameters like, minus this and bracket this. So we don't think that that's something that's gonna actually um, take the power of AI or take the power of generative AI and help a lot of people. That itself is going to become a specialization, which we don't believe that that's the way to go. So yeah, but other than that, like last year when the entire generative AI started, we were super excited. We're like, oh my god, now like things are going mainstream, and we're like, okay, we predicted it and we knew news coming, but it's happening right in front of our eyes and everybody's talking about it. So, and now like, now it's like, I think like, it's going to happen much sooner than most people realize. And the prediction that, it's going to happen in 10 years and 5 years that we still hear, we're saying that no, by the end of the year, we're going to take something super complicated like, Tolstoy, War and Peace, or I don't know, like, some super complex book that has hundreds of characters, super complex interactions, scenes, wars, and we're going to copy it and we're going to paste it inside the tool, and it's going to generate the entire thing. And then we're just going to make it a template and give it to everyone. Like, go and modify it, derive from it, change it. No prompt engineering required, no knowledge of design tool required. Just do free form creation. Like, and we're super excited about it.
Do you think that these your tools you'll be able to remain like free, like for open? Do you think even if we get to that point, Robert, you might be able to answer that better, or I'm not sure. Do you think it'll get prohibitive by that point when it gets to be that simple? Because how would you be able to operate with, without people paying?
So, what I think is that, so let's, move back slightly and think about how things are done today. And then we'll think about what the cost of so let's say that, so we talked to for the last 3-4 years, we've been talking to a lot of creators, interviewing them, understanding their problem points. So one writer that we were talking to, and she's like, wants to make her book into a movie or like, do some kind of thing, right? So she can show it to people like how cool it is. And we see this problem a lot, right? So she went to a studio and they're like, okay, sure. We need like, $1 million and we'll do a pilot for you. And she was like, I don't have any money, I'm a writer. it's crazy to think about that. In order to do a pilot for a book, you need $1 million. Insane, right? So between that, you're not gonna have to go and raise a whole bunch of money, and then you don't know whether that pilot's gonna work out, right? Now imagine slightly back, like you take your book, you copy it, and you paste it in in Opus, and you know what can be the price point that you're okay with, right? I don't know, like $100 or $1,000. It's simply like 1,000x reduction in whatever money you're paying, right? So I think it's not particularly, we don't need to concentrate on keeping the tools free. What we need to focus on that is it accessible to people to whom they were completely previously inaccessible to, right? So, if you're a fan fiction writer, if you're a writer, and previously you had to spend like, hundreds of thousands of dollars to, do a pilot, and now you can pay, I don't know, $1,000 to do it. It's not prohibitive. Like, most of the people that we've talked to, they're gonna pay it with their eyes closed, right? They're not gonna even think about it, like, and that's where I think, because this field was completely a closed, kind of a black box to most people, right? You need to find a studio, and you don't know how good a job they're gonna do. You don't know how long it's gonna take. You don't know how many times you have to go back and forward. All these things suddenly, like changes that. You sit on your couch, you open up Opus, and you just start writing, or you already written, you just copy paste, and suddenly like like, okay, I have something that I recognize. I recognize my characters, I recognize my scenes, I recognize my, and then yeah, I mean, like even if you're paying something, it's not, it's no, nothing, comparable if at the time in terms of cost.
Well, that's fair. Thank you. And I guess it just depends on what context you're approaching it with. So the way, if it's just for everyday use, it it's different than the person who needs it, like 1,000 versus $1 million, depending on what it is. So I guess it would probably have to be set up with like what you can afford to pay based on what you need, or I guess we'll get to that point later. But um,
Yeah, another thing I think is it's super interesting for us is that it's not going to be a simple, thing for everyone, right? So it's like you have to do multiple things for multiple people. And another thing that we're doing is talking to schools, like, and this is kind of crazy because we didn't think that that's the thing that's going to happen for a while, right? But we have a lot of educators who are coming forward, and they're like, oh, we want to use it in our schools, like, because because there are a lot of experimental education going on in schools, and especially in creative writing. People who teach some kind of creative writing, they're struggling, right? Because most of the students, they just want to go and do something that makes them money, right? And it's crazy to think about that we're losing so much talent, a lot of cool people who would have been great storyteller, but because of the financial constraint, they can't, uh, go there, right? And even, some of the, I would say, people in software engineering, like people who are, at a director level, some people are on boards, and I talk to them, and they're like, "Oh, I just want to retire and want to go do some creative writing." And I'm like, "What? Why did you start in Google, or why did you start in Meta in the first place? Like, why you?" But then I understand, right? I mean, money's there, you want to be there, and eventually you want to retire, and so you can do what you actually wanted to do all along. But I think if we go back to a level where people can take something like this in schools, and in schools where it's going to be like really close to, it's going to be free for every student. So, for creative writing classes, and you can just, actually do what you wanted to do while you're in high school or while you're in, and that would, I guess, bring a lot of people and help them follow their passion, and from the get-go help them make some kind of I guess money, right? And that's something that we're super excited about. Don't have much to share on that front, but I guess like in the next few months we're gonna be announcing quite a few partnership with schools.
Well, your product is amazing. My mouth just hit the floor when I saw how easy it was from just typing in just typing in any words and seeing it appear on the screen, and just within seconds. That it's just amazing, and the uses, the potential uses for every industry, but education. Oh my goodness, it's just amazing. Um,
Yeah. Like imagine, like, if you're in school and you have to choose between taking a coding class and have, between, building your own words, like, creating this, who's gonna go and do a coding class? And I'm not saying anything against coding. I think software engineers are great. Myself, I'm an engineer. Like I actually literally started in system engineering, not even simple software engineering. And we need engineers to build cool things. But one thing that I strongly believe in, that technical people, they need to be backstage, right? We shouldn't be in the creative workflow. We shouldn't be in the middle of everything. We need to empower the majority of people who are not technical, who don't want to learn weird syntax, who don't want to, because what that does is that just takes the creative. And that's how we started in the first place. We were like, okay, we are doing something super cool, but we can't be in the middle. If people type stuff, it needs to be plain English. It needs to be. It needs to happen right away. There shouldn't be anything that gives them the hint that, oh no, I need to talk to somebody to understand how to do this, right? So yeah, super big believer in that, and that's something that we want to follow throughout, right?
okay. No, thank you so much, Marcos. You've had your hand up for quite a while, so I'll let you go ahead. And did you have a question?
Thanks, Heather. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that this is a great opportunity for people that always wanted to create art, but they, for one reason or another, weren't able to. Like people that unfortunately weren't born with hands or other deformities. This is like a Pandora box for that people can create whatever they want and are not limited by their inability to use a pencil, for example, or a brush. And yeah, it's about that.
Thank you. That's a good point too, and I appreciate that about leveling the playing field and giving people the opportunity. They wouldn't know that they might want to try to create something. They might have thought it wasn't possible. I definitely thought most everything I put online, I didn't know that I could ever do something like that. And the people to even have exposure to it and see it, and to even imagine being able to do that in the types of things you could do, if you can type in something and build it. Yeah, they don't have hands, and if you could even voice to 3D, it's just amazing the things that are possible for people that might have otherwise had no way of actually doing these things. So man, I just thank you so much. And Ox Dev, you can go ahead and I'll let you had your hand up for a while too.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm a AI dev, and so I love to talk about all these AI stuff that's happening right now in the world. Um, I created a poll, and I want you guys to look at it. We could talk about the option. The first option is like AI singularity. Second option is cryptocurrency, and then the third option isn't so good. But I want to know what your guys' opinion on the future of where things are going in the world with AI.
Robert, would you mind answering that, because you have more knowledge than the rest of us?
I just retweeted an NBA video where they scanned a player and then replaced that player onto the basketball court. I mean, that's where we're going. We're going to a very weird place. That's why I say the future is weird, because it covers everything, right? We're getting a holodeck. We talked about this earlier. We're getting a holodeck at some level soon that is a 3D environment around us. Hey, holodeck, take us to the Taj Mahal, and you're there. Or take us to the Grand Canyon, and you're there. Or show me Heather's art, right? And all of a sudden, my house is dressed up with her art and her style, and it's been replaced everything, right? We're going to have virtual beings where we talk to things in this 3D experience, right? So a humanoid form or a robot or a dog or a giraffe, whatever you can imagine, you're going to have a little assistant walking around with you, right? And you're going to talk to that thing. And that thing is going to do things for you and tell you things. So ChatGPT is probably going to be how it's running underneath, right? You can send ChatGPT your own writing and then tell it translate that to how Snoop Dogg would talk to me, or translate that to how Barack Obama would say it, or right, or translate that to Donald Trump if you're on that side of the political fence. And so you're going to have a crazy number of new things to do, and everybody in the AI art space is starting to understand, pieces of that. I don't know. I mean, I could talk about this for hours.
It sounds
You know,
like pretty much anything you can imagine. And what would you do? You have any suggestions for people who are so they're very hesitant about and worried about the impact?
I'd say get over it and start using it. I just retweeted somebody who's using AI to get jobs, right? So we're all worried about AI stealing our jobs. There's people out there who are like, oh, this is a great tool to do resume and find me a job,
Yeah,
right?
no, I kind of agree, and I try to be sensitive to it, but it's kind of like this isn't going to be open for everybody forever. So take advantage of
It's
it.
not going to stop.
You know?
You know, okay, you get laid off. You got to find something new to do. Well,
Yeah,
this stuff is going to be a huge new industry. It's like we all just got out of Eastman Kodak's lab and we just saw the movie projector for the first time, and we're like, oh, what should we do with that? Right?
no, that's true. So it's kind of this.
We didn't even think about Star Wars or Jaws or
You're not like people that. I mean, I don't know as much about what the individual. I know there's a lot of hesitancy and there's a lot of fear, but also there's also
Yeah.
a lot of people who really haven't used it at all. Like Midas said, they're not using ChatGPT. They don't really know what it does, and that's just one thing. But they've been using AI in their lives, their everyday lives, for years, and
My oven has an NVIDIA card. I have a June oven. It has an NVIDIA card in it with a camera, and you put a piece of salmon underneath the camera, and it says, "Oh, you're cooking salmon. Let's cook it for 11 minutes." You put a piece of toast in there, it cooks it for 2 minutes, right? It says, "Oh, there's toast there." So yeah, AI is already driving my car. It's already running my oven, right? It's already picking my music and helping, run Twitter. So
it's
pretty much
Netflix.
all.
Wouldn't it be, Siri, all these things that we're talking about, spell autocorrect, your, vehicles, aren't we? We're pretty much already surrounded by AI, but it seems like people don't
I
see it.
The bleeding edge users are absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, what's the future? Back to the question, what is the future? Um, it it's more.
Yeah. We're not slow. It's
More.
not going to go backwards.
More AI art, but soon AI art's going to go from something you do just on 2D little screens to being 3D scenes around you, right? So now you're going to have to change your way of thinking about it to a 3D thing and a 2D thing, because 2D is not going away, right?
Yeah.
People are not going to throw away their phones this Christmas, right?
Yeah. Or even making it more interactive, just adding the sound to it, or even if it's natural sound or something like that.
Music is so let's just talk about generative music. That's interesting. So I'm the world's largest collector of Dolby Atmos surround sound music. About 70,000 songs today are in this new format, which is actually technology. It's Dolby Atmos is a surround sound format where the you have a little box around you basically, and the box is metadata that's coming down with the music, and the metadata tells the computers where to put a horn or a drum or a singer around me in 3D space. The problem is, and the music industry likes this format and has standardized on it because it's fairly cheap to produce this 3D box for people's homes or their headphones, right? So they can hear in 3D. The problem is you can't walk through the instruments. So if you're listening to a marching band, for instance, yes, you hear all the marching band around you, but you can't walk through the band like you could in real life. Soon we're going to be able to walk through the band. The problem is doing that is too expensive to create. Capturing a high school marching band with every instrument separate on its own separate track, way too expensive. So you're going to create that band with generative AI, right? And the generative AI knows how to create each instrument on a 3D space around you. So now you can walk through a high school band and hear what that sounds like. That is going to be where generative music builds its own art form in a way that you can't do with human performance, right? At least not the way I see it. I talk to a lot of people, audio engineers and others in the music industry. They can't do that. So all of a sudden, artists like people who are listening here are going to be able to create 3D scenes and put sound down on the 3D scenes around people. So they're going to be able to hear a new kind of music performance that just is not possible on Dolby Atmos.
That's amazing. We're like living in the holodeck. Linus, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to add back to the question that where are we going? Where's the future of AI? And I think maybe it was said before, but maybe not in clear text. I think we're going to see a lot of convergence, and I think this is not talked about enough. I mean, the initial convergence will be people stringing together different verticals, like text to this and audio and generative 3D, and everyone is going to try to kind of like do middleware layers to hook everything up. I think what's going to happen sooner than it's going to happen at some point. We're going to have real full multi-modality models that are going to be able to do more than one thing. Now we got GPT 3.5 or 4.0 coming out later this year, only doing text. But I wouldn't be surprised that we're soon going to see a model that do both text and image generation within the same model itself. And once we start adding image generation, adding 3D generation won't be that far out. And what's stopping that model from also getting vision? So all of a sudden, we're going to have one single model run by a huge company somewhere, and it's going to be true multi-model, which means you're just going to have one interface to do all these different things. I think that's going to be super powerful if we're talking futuristic things that might happen in the next 5 to 10 years. I wanted to hear, Robert, your kind of take on that. Like, where do you think multimodality will go?
I'm sorry, I was just doing something, so I missed the setup of the multimodality.
So sorry, I was talking about like true multimodal model. So like currently GPT 3.5 is only doing text, but Sam
Yeah.
Altman has said they're working on making so that the same model can do image generation, for example. What's your take on the convergence of all these things happening in the same model in the end, like having one major AI model running everything?
That'll be interesting, and we'll probably do a good number of things. The specialized AIs, like an AI that just does 3D objects or 3D scenes, is possibly going to be more interesting for serious artists, right? For people who are really trying to do something creative and interesting. So I see both. I see that. Here's the way to look at it. There's the big AIs like the Chat GPT, and they're going to fire up a lot of smaller AIs, like one that'll create a website for you, or Super Normal takes notes on your video conference. Hey Siri, can you take notes on this call, right, for me? And all of a sudden, that bigger AI, the Siri, the Chat GPT, or you know, the Google version, is going to call up a number of smaller AIs. That was the real bad thing about Siri. Siri was really is today really hard coded when you look at how it works in the back end, and it's not very flexible about learning about new things. The newer AIs are going to be far more flexible about that. And I don't know everything about how it's going to work out, but I see a number of these smaller AI companies coming along. Like Supernormal is a good one. They have 4 people building a note-taking app, right? That is always going to be probably better than ChatGPT can do it, because they're very, very focused on a very specific task, right? And a
Yeah,
very specific customer, right?
yeah. Right now they are, but if we're looking at like where things are going in the next 5 to 10 years, and also what Sam himself is like kind of saying in different environments is like, well, we're solving this thing now with text, and we're pretty much we're on that. But what's stopping them from solving the next thing and not keeping it in a separate model? Like, I think this is a very interesting thing to keep lookout for, because right now we're going to have all these verticals with all these different AI solutions for different individual tasks. And the winners now are going to be clearly the ones that are stringing things together. Like just what we're doing now with bedtime stories, right? Like we're taking a bunch of different AI tools, anything from like text to voice to text to background audience to text to images, text to 3D, text to video. And we're stringing it all together to create one magical interface where a user inputs one thing and gets like a plethora of things on the other end. But it's still cumbersome because you have to write a lot of middleware and you have to be stringing a lot of things together. But I'm already seeing like a bunch of companies going after like, oh, we can actually do these 2 things. We can do diffusion for
Yeah.
text and diffusion for 3D in the same model. Like it doesn't really need to be. Yeah, it's just interesting to see where these things are going if we're applying the 5 to 10 year lens, for sure.
I think you're onto something. In the Microsoft community, we call this riding the elephant. I used to work at Visual Basic Programmers Journal, which became Visual Studio Magazine. And back then, a lot of developers were creating little tools for developers to put into their toolbar, right? Components that you would buy. A little spreadsheet component, you drag it out on your form, now you have a spreadsheet, right? And those people all knew the game, that they had maybe a year or two before Microsoft would copy them and put them into Visual Studio and obliterate their business. So they were always constantly innovating and staying ahead of Microsoft, because big companies move slow and they don't see new markets very clearly. They don't understand customers very well, right? Specific customers, right? And that's the game. So if you're in this if you're in this business of trying to create smaller AIs, that the big company could copy you and do away with your business. That's the danger of that. But I like the innovators. The small little startup team, 4 people, can move really, really fast compared to all.
100%. 100% agree.
And relevance is about speed, right? If you can get something on the market a year before Apple can, um, you know, you have a year, right?
Exactly. I mean, just
Business.
look,
And
just
even
look.
when Apple moves into the market, maybe or a Chat GPT, an Open AI moves in the market, they're not going to do it very well sometimes, and so your business will still survive.
Yeah, I totally agree, and we're kind of seeing this play out in real time. Like for the first time in 20 years, we have a real contender to Google for search.
Yeah,
Who would have thought that? You asked me 2 years ago if
uh,
OpenAI would be a contender against
it's
Google.
never done.
No, it's never
I
happened.
interviewed Nokia's CEO the day that the iPhone came out. He thought, he told me about market share, right? Oh, I have all the market share and I know how to make phones. They don't know how to make phones, right? Blah, blah, blah.
Great.
Right. So even Google, right? Google, before Google, there was Alta Vista. Everybody thought that was how we were going to search the web. And then Google comes along and changes our opinion about that, right? And the same thing can happen over and over again. We're heading into a 3D world. The 3D world is a paradigm shift. When that happens, big companies are going to go away. Every time I've seen a paradigm shift, this is the fourth of my life in personal computing. Every time there's a paradigm shift, big company goes away. WordPerfect's gone, right? It used to be very popular. Nokia's gone. RIM is gone, right? Market share doesn't matter to me at all. Relevancy does. And a small little agile startup who sees a new way of doing things and gets it out is going to be relevant. Are they going to be relevant forever? No, but for a year, they'll be relevant. And if you can take that relevancy and build a business off of it and keep innovating and staying ahead, now you're relevant for 2 years, right?
Yeah, that's 100% true. All right, Heather, I'm giving it back to you. Thank you for letting me
No,
chime in.
thank you. That the conversation is just amazing. Yeah, we're all learning so much. Adnan, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to pass a comment, right? I think one of the conversation or one of the things that I see quite a bit in the AI, and that's for people who are trying to understand and trying to see where they can contribute. The value proposition, I think, lies in bringing the power of AI to people to whom it was previously unavailable, rather than trying to do novel things, because novelty is great, right? I think people are going to try a lot of things, people are going to do a lot of brand new things, try to bring their sci-fi dreams to reality. What we're seeing is that, especially when we talk to a person who's seeing this entire movement taking place from a distance, to them, they don't know how to contribute or how to interact with the entire movement, right? And if you can bring that power to such people that they can somehow interact with in one way or the other, that is where your true value proposition, your actual long-term business, I would say, value lies, not in creating something completely brand new for people who already are interacting with AI. And I think that's where most of the people who want to somehow get into this ecosystem or this paradigm shift should concentrate. And it is a paradigm shift, right? Whether we want it or not, and the paradigm shift is gonna it's still happening. It's not done yet. It's not that one contender has win, or somebody can already have gotten enough capital that they're gonna remember that when Google started, they only have $100,000 compared to Alta Vista or a whole bunch of other companies that have raised million, right? But because they were able to move super fast, and also what they were doing is actually building the infrastructure layer rather than just building something novel, right? That's why they were able to win.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were finished. And thank you. Ox, did you want to, you had a question?
Yes. So decentral. I'm sure you guys have heard of the Decentraland metaverse. It came out in 2020, and it was the world's first decentralized metaverse that was Web3. Now it's multi-chain It's a multi-chain ecosystem metaverse. Um, with Microsoft integrating ChatGPT into its browser, I think the technology for Web 4 is here. And so, developers like myself who are, using AI in metaverses and in Web 3, we're developing Web 4. Somebody on YouTube, you can look it up if you don't know what Web 4 is. Somebody even came out and said Web 5, which is, a futuristic thing. So I think we're developing Web 4 now. I think Web 5 is the future, right? And
Well,
We're not going to call it the web.
yeah.
We're heading into a 3D world where we can change everything about the world around us. We're not going to call that the web. That's not a web browser. Even if it's web technology that's driving some of it underneath, we're not going to call it the web. And I sat next to Tim O'Reilly when he was writing the Web 2 paper that gave the Web 2 its name, right?
Yeah. Well, no, we didn't know that. If you could feel
Seriously.
free to expand
I was
on that.
sitting next to him. I wrote a whole paper to Bill Gates about Web 2
Oh,
after sitting next to Tim O'Reilly at the first Google advertising conference.
oh boy.
Been around a while.
Man, it's just it's so learned so much through this conversation. I don't want to stop. So I was just ask if you want anything you want to say, Robert, and if anybody has a quick question, please, raise your hand or something and let me know. But I guess you can have the floor, Robert. Please, you've taught us a lot and made us inspired a lot of thinking about things.
I don't need the floor. We're heading into a new world, and you all are pioneers in this new world. You're learning how to talk to these AIs and get something that humans find interesting out of it, right? I can't wait to see what all you create from my house.
Well,
Maybe Heather, could you give Dave the floor? He's
oh
raising
yes,
his
I'm
hand.
sorry.
Maybe he wants to say
Did I
something.
give you the mic, Dave? Oh, Dave, I'm sorry. Isn't Marcus? Oh, yeah, Dave, please.
Yeah, no worries. It's great to get a chance to connect with a lot of you guys. Matt, it's great to see you. Midas, it's great to see you. Scoble, great to see you. Linus, just so you know, we have a community of AI leaders, and I've been trying to DM you to get you in there. So hopefully, maybe you and Matt can connect, or Scoble and you can connect, and we can get you in there. Your bedtime story AI site is awesome, and was really impressed yesterday when you released the updated images, or I got a chance to see the updated images because I had used it just a couple weeks prior, and your image model got a lot better. So Linus, props on that. And if anybody in the audience hasn't tried Bedtime Story yet, I definitely recommend it. Linus and his team have such great design skills. It's just such a beautiful app that creates long stories and beautiful images and stuff. So props to that. But yeah, so I do have a couple questions for everybody. I guess before I begin, Matt, congratulations on 100,000 followers on subscribers on YouTube. That's incredible. Your Discord is absolutely rocking. 2,200 members or so. Anybody in the audience should definitely join Matt's Discord. I think there may be a link somewhere, maybe in his Twitter bio or maybe a tweet or something soon. That's impressive. But my question to the speakers, Robert and Matt and Midas and Linus and some of you other guys, is what is your current daily usage of AI? I know there's thousands of tools out and there's just like an overflowing of exciting things, tweets that we see, but where is AI actually being used in your day-to-day life? Do you have kind of an update on what that's on how that's going? I would love to hear kind of the panel's
You
point of
mean
view on
beyond
that.
driving my car and toasting my toast in the morning? My June oven has AI in it. My Tesla car has AI in it. My Sonos has AI in it for music, right? So right there, AI is all around me. You're talking about the specific tools we're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
So that's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
The actual understanding of how AI is already in our day to day life. I think my question is more specifically when it comes to your workflow or how you've changed how you do work on the internet or on your computer over the past couple months.
I'm trying everything that Matt writes about and that I can. And I'm talking to mostly I'm talking to the entrepreneurs who are building it so I understand where they're going with it, right? That's why I was talking to Leonardo yesterday. Because I'm trying to figure out like where is video gaming going to be? Well, he's the leading company out there on Matt's list for making assets for video games with this new generative AI. So I'm trying to figure out where they're going by talking to the entrepreneurs. I'm not a big user because I suck at this compared to some of the people in the community. I mean, Robert Haslam spent 3 hours walking me through his AI art, and it was stunning. It's like, where I don't even know how to copy you. Your art is so amazing, right? That the things you're getting out of it. But he's done it tens of thousands of times, and there's a whole club out there. I keep retweeting people who are like, "Oh, I just passed 30,000 images done on stability." I'd be like, "That's a lot of images." And you get pretty good at getting something really interesting out of it, right? When you do that quantity, I don't do that.
I think the way that except for building with these tools, like the number one thing is like, I don't go to Google as often anymore. Like if I need answers, I'll go to ChatGPT plus
It's always
first.
my screen. ChatGPT is I always have it on my screen. I'm always forcing myself to ask it questions to figure it out.
Yeah, another really interesting thing is like if you're flipping the thing as well, is I'm not asking questions, but I'm asking it what I should ask. That's
Yeah.
even more. That could be even more powerful in some instances. Like it's like, what do I need to learn to understand this? It's like, give me the questions I should ask, and then like
Why don't
obviously writing
you?
code.
I go the other way. I try to teach it, right? Oh, I'll give it 1,500 words I wrote, and then say what's there that I missed, right?
Yeah, for
And it
sure.
comes
Like
up with interesting answers. It starts writing more. It's like wow.
so, there's one interesting thing that I journal. So I not everyone knows this, but I also have like a small little mental health app that I've been building for the past couple of years. I lost my dad back in 2020, so I was like, I need to journal. I need to build something for myself, and been using GPT index and embeddings, so I can speak to my own journal, and that's super powerful. I can like extract things from my journal in a chat interface. So that's one thing that's changed a lot of things.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Matt, what do you use most? I'm interested to know since you have access to so much.
I think I'm kind of like Robert, where I'm spending a lot of time talking to the creators. I'm jumping on calls. Dave and I have even had some calls and chatted as well. So I'm constantly just trying to learn as much as I can. But I do actually use quite a bit of the AI myself in my daily workflows. If you watch my YouTube channel, you can see that pretty much every thumbnail that I've been putting on my YouTube channel, they're all made with AI. Usually the background of the thumbnail was made in Mid-Journey, and then my sort of facial expression was made with a Stable Diffusion that I trained on my face. So I'm using it for that. And then also on my Future Tools website, I am still looking at every single tool that I put on this site myself. So when people submit tools to me through my contact form, I actually click on the link. I look at the tool. I usually register a free account if it's got a free plan or a trial. I'll play around with it, try it myself. And then when I go to put it on the website, I literally put it into a Google spreadsheet. And then that Google spreadsheet has an API connected to GPT-3. And then GPT-3 actually summarizes what that website does what that website will do for you. So if you go on Future Tools and you click into any one of the little tools and you read the summary of what that tool does, that summary was generated with GPT-3 for me. I don't actually write those summaries. So that's another way that every single day I'm using this stuff. It's summarizing those tools so I don't have to get creative and think of how to explain what this tool does. Another way I'm constantly using it is, kind of coming back to the question I was asking Robert earlier, is how do you understand some of this complex stuff? Well, I'll take some of these papers and open them in an explain paper and say, what the hell does this mean? I don't know what these words are, and have it explain it back to me. So that's another way that I'm using it. So, you can see how I'm using it on YouTube. I'm making a lot of the videos about here's some cool stuff that I'm experimenting with. So I'm fairly out in the public about the various ways that I'm using it, but then it's actually helping me run my business in all the ways that I just mentioned, in YouTube thumbnails and summarizing the tools and actually understanding how these various things work. Yesterday it was interesting. My dad runs a shutter company here in San Diego that does like window covering shutters. And when I went over to his office the other day, because he wanted some kind of consulting from me for how he can improve his business, he had never even heard of ChatGPT. And he's always really struggled with sort of copywriting. He wants to write more emails to his customers. He wants to send flyers in the mail to drum up new business for his shutter company. And he's always been concerned about how his writing comes across for him. And I sat down with him and I went, have you heard of ChatGPT yet? And he's like, no, what's that? I pulled it up on his computer and I say, all right, explain a little bit about the benefits of using your shutter company over others. And he just kind of gave me some vague bullet points of what his shutter company does and why it's better than the other shutter companies in San Diego here. And I just put those rough bullets in there and said, write me a newsletter that I can send to my audience that explains why you should buy from me over the other customers. And it wrote up just a very elegant, eloquent letter that he could go and send out to all of his customers. And just instantly, my dad's mind was just blown. He was just like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I'm not going to sleep tonight. Right. So I'm just constantly having these aha moments and finding new ways to use it. And every single day, there's a new way that I'm finding to implement this stuff in my business. And I mean, that's part of the reason that I've just went completely down the rabbit hole and almost dropped everything else I've been doing.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story with us. That's like such a great. It's great to verbally hear just your father getting a chance to use such a powerful tool. If you guys don't mind, I just wanted to say hello to Riley. He just joined us. Riley, if I'm not mistaken, is the #1 AI specialist on TikTok. Has a huge audience there and is cranking out a ton of videos. Riley, if you're up for it, did you want to give us a little bit of an intro and tell us what you're up to?
Yeah, I mean, at least that's what it says in my bio. #1. I didn't, not actually, I'm just kind of measure. I decide who the #1 is, and I think it's me. But yeah, dude, I like making content, and I love AI. I tested some AI tools about 3 months before ChatGPT came out, and I was like, okay, this is first of all the most fun thing I've ever used in my life. Second of all, this is going to be the most viral thing that the earth has ever seen. And then I was like, okay, what platform do I want to create on? And I'm like, all right, let's choose the one that has the most virality built into it. And I'm like, let's make videos on TikTok. And I've just had so much fun with it. And I learned, I love like editing the videos, and actually just hired a video editor to help me out, because I'm going to be moving to YouTube, doing a bunch of stuff. But like, yeah, I've been extremely busy just making content, trying tools every day, and it's been a blast. Yeah.
That's
I saw
awesome.
that video you did with the
It's been
the ads, Riley. That was something else. That one you just did.
Oh, the one, yeah. Yeah, you got to make the hooks. The hook is everything, because one thing Matt does really well is he crushes his thumbnails. But I always say that the first 5 seconds of any TikTok is the thumbnail of TikTok, because the TikTok, there's no thumbnails don't matter on TikTok. It's like how you hook them as soon as they see you. And that's what I'm learning right now, is you got to be fun. You just got to have a lot of energy, and it's something I'm learning a lot. But also huge respect to Matt. Matt's my favorite person on YouTube. So shout out, Matt. I don't think I've gotten a chance to talk to you yet, but huge fan.
Yeah, we share that. We share. Haroon wanted to say something about you have a tool that you wanted to talk.
Hey,
Hey,
no, I just want to introduce myself. Not so much about the tool, but it is so cool to see all these wonderful faces that, some that I know from Twitter, some that I have met in, face to face or video. It's really incredible. Just very quickly, I mean, like 5 years ago, I started a nonprofit, New York City. The main focus was teaching students how to prepare for the future of AI. And, at the time, a lot of students really didn't understand how AI played a role in their lives, right? I mean, they would use Siri, but they weren't impressed by Siri. They would use these tools, but they weren't impressed by them. And I always knew AI was going to play a big role in the next generation and next 10 years when I started the nonprofit, but I never realized how quickly the change was going to happen, right? And so it is so incredibly cool to see how people are using new AI tooling. I mean, Matt is one of the most impressive people that I've seen, just adapting to the new tools, leveraging them for his YouTube videos, leveraging them for future tools. I was chatting with Amjad Masad last night. He's the CEO of Replit, which is a IDE company. And one of the things that Amjad says that really resonated with me was, it's no longer going to be the world where you have to be the most technical person in the room in order to succeed. And for myself, I studied information data science, machine learning a while ago, but I find that that's pretty irrelevant nowadays. Like, you don't need to be an ML engineer to really be able to succeed in the AI space. Really, what is going to help you succeed is being a really good ideas person. And Amjad had said it's the age of the ideas guy. Like, the ideas guy is back. It used to be that the ideas guy needed to have folks to help them execute, but now it's just so easy to get certain things done. And Matt's put some wonderful tools together with future tools. We're working on a chat bot to try to help you find the best AI tool to use as well. And so it's really going to be about figuring out, how do you find the right tool from the massive toolbox of AI tools out there, and how do you leverage it in order to get the job done, right? I mean, software programming is becoming so easy. Graphic design is becoming so easy. And a few years ago, we were like, all right, creativity is something that is always going to be reserved for humanity, right? That's going to be our role to play in the human AI interaction. And oh my gosh, I mean, we couldn't have been more wrong, right? I mean, we're seeing, I see Riley, Matt, I mean, both creators in the AI space who I absolutely love, creating some incredible graphics using AI technology. Some of this stuff, which is, you would have to pay a lot of money to put together some of those covered art images using a freelancer. So, I mean, I just love the scrappiness. I think that is going to be so instrumental to succeeding in this new age. And it's so cool to be in a room filled with a lot of really scrappy folks that I think are going to do really well in this in this future. Also, by the way, Linus, shout out to you, man. Love the work that you're doing, and bedtime stories. Awesome application. Your eye for design is incredible, man. Huge respect.
For sure, Linus is an OG. Finn, you had your hand up for a little while. Did you want to say something?
Yes, real quick. So I love the conversation. Matt, love your videos. You're awesome. What I wanted to say is, I usually speak in the financial spaces, specific stocks, but I use the new Bing, and I created a trading view indicator. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a coder. I can maybe put a few lines in here or there, but I really like this indicator. So with that, if I can do that, where is AI going for the financial markets? And will retail investors will they have the tools to fight against the big money algos? If anybody can address that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Robert, please.
I can't play those games, so I take a long-term approach to investing. Long-term approach means you have to pick a good company and stick with it no matter how desperate it seems like it's getting. My money manager and I talked a lot about this. Amazon in 1999 was $112. And then the crash happened in 2000 in the dot-com world. A lot of companies went out of business, and Amazon went down to $6. He asked me, did you sell? Because all of his clients did. If they had taken a long-term approach and picked the right company, they would have held. And today Amazon is Amazon, right? So that's the way I look at it, because I can't compete with AI teams who are going to do trading on a millisecond basis and have advantages I just can't have. I mean, my good friend was the first CTO on Wall Street, and he set up the first data centers. They've set them up in New Jersey. Why? Because they're closer to the trading floors than you are. So they can intercept traffic that goes towards the data center and get in front of it. I don't have that capability, right? And neither do most of the people on this space. So I took a long-term approach, and it's been working out pretty good. Got to do your homework, and you got to be able to stand in there. Tesla just in the last year went down 70%, right? That's just one of my stocks. Does that make sense? Now, on the other hand, if you're building an AI system and you think you have a way to get ahead, you can make money if you actually do have a way to see patterns that nobody else can see. But that's a game that's way over my pay grade.
I think he's gone, actually. I'm not sure. But Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, so before Riley, you got here, we had a question, and a number of the panel members got a chance to share their experiences. I wanted to ask you specifically, since you're definitely on top of this way more than I am, I think. Riley, the question that I have to you is, there's thousands of these new AI projects and apps and sites and all sorts of things popping up, but which one of them have actually made it into your day-to-day workflow? Which ones actually help you build your startup? Could you give us an update on that?
I mean, yeah, I use like, because I'm in content, right? And I do think a lot of these tools are just noise, and I think there are a lot of them are solutions looking for a problem. However, like obviously ChatGPT, obviously Midjourney, those two are boring, but a lot of text to voice stuff I've been using a lot, and also recently super underrated one for long form content is Descript, which you basically can just remove. Like you have a whole. I just did my first podcast that I did with the founder of Scenario, and it was an hour and 20 minutes, and I just uploaded the video, and then we had to cut out a lot. It was my first one, and the connection was bad because I use Skype, and I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to get a better tool, but I could just remove all the parts of the podcast that I wanted to get rid of, and you could just do it by highlighting the text and hitting backspace. And like those are very, very. It's a very practical tool. Wouldn't surprise me if Adobe bought them out. That's kind of my prediction because it just makes sense for that to be integrated into Premiere Pro. But yeah, that's one that I think is super underrated.
That's awesome. I just shared your Waymark tweet at the top of this space. You can see some of the tweets. I just shared your TikTok on Waymark. Seems like tools like that are super powerful. So thank you for making such great TikToks, and it's awesome seeing your TikToks getting put on Twitter as well. I'll be sure to retweet you.
If you don't mind, I wanted to share a tool that maybe not a lot of folks have maybe used, but has been really instrumental for me. So I send out a daily AI newsletter. Yeah, as far as I know, we're the biggest in the world right now, although I'm sure there's going to be, I think Ben's Bites is going to catch up pretty soon. But I use this app called Reader, and Reader was always a read later app where you save articles and then you get like snippets, and it kind of has this whole like flashcard workflow to help you memorize things. But they just recently released this thing called Reader, or sorry, I think it's called Reader, Readwise Reader. Sorry, that's the name, Readwise Reader. And I save articles that are AI related. I save tweets that are AI related to Readwise Reader, and I hit Shift G, and it gives me a summary of that article, regardless of how long. And I can ask questions on top of the articles as well. So if I'm doing an AI newsletter, I don't want to spend more than like 90 minutes in the morning doing it, since I run a startup and other projects as well. And so with this, I've been able to completely, trim down the amount of time I spend on putting together the newsletter, probably by 75% or so. So Readwise Reader would highly recommend. I think they charge for it, but if you're somebody that puts together written content on a regular basis, would really recommend it.
Thank you. I didn't even think about that. I've seen it a lot, the Readwise, the Reader app, but thank you for explaining how you use that. Go ahead, Matt, please.
Yeah, so Haroon just actually reminded me of another app that I use every single day without fail, and it's Feedly, which is an RSS feed reader, but they recently built in an AI called Leo into it. And what it is you can go in there and say, hey, I'm interested in this topic. So I plugged in like machine learning and AI and generative art. And what it'll do is every day it will hunt the internet and find articles around that topic for you. And then you can actually sort of upvote, downvote articles. You can say, I like this article, I don't like this article, I want more of this, I would want less of this. And it sort of tailors your RSS feed of AI news for you, or whatever news you're interested in. And so if you ever go to the Future Tools website, you click on the little news tab, the way that that's actually automated is that I have this Feedly Leo set up. It's looking for AI, machine learning, generative art articles for me. And then whenever I sort of thumbs up, like an article and say this is a good one, it automatically adds it to that news page on my site. So that's something else that I just wanted to throw out there, because the Readwise tool that Haroon mentioned sounds really cool. I haven't used that one myself yet, but Feedly is one where that's how I'm staying on top of the news and kind of always am very up to date with like interesting news in the AI space. So just wanted to share that one real quick.
I use Feedly every single day too. I love that. I love Feedly. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to listen to the recording for this to pass it out, to take notes and figure out what I'm going to be changing stacks to. And everybody here, we're learning so much. So But Midas, did you want to say talk about what you use every day? I don't think we heard Midas. If you can, I don't know, or if anyone wants to break in. I hate to cut anybody off or anybody. Go ahead.
Can I
Sure.
speak on the way
Yeah.
I use Feedly with
Oh,
Notion?
sure. Yeah.
Like, just to go off what Matt
Please.
said. Um, yeah, so Feedly is just an app, and Matt explained it very well. But what I do is I just open every tab that I have open from Feedly. I use the Notion web clipper, which I don't know if everyone's familiar with Notion. And then I have it odd. I created a database and I have it set as a calendar. And then I have the calendar display by the created date, so that as soon as you save it to your calendar on Notion, it saves it into this like calendar. Maybe I'll make a video on this, like into a calendar
Yeah.
database that you can then tag by the type of software. And so, like, Matt, I'm just trying to think of like a way that, I feel like you, with how many tools you're dealing with, I feel like you would love that. But yeah, I go Feedly into Notion, and then that's kind of, and then, I spend my first hour of my day going through Feedly, and then I have my Twitter lists. So I go Feedly, Twitter lists, and then whatever other sources I normally get AI stuff from. And then from there, I'm saving the things that I like, and you can save tweets into that same calendar, and it embeds it into Notion. And so, like, I have this basically a spreadsheet for that first hour of the day, and maybe there's like 30 different things of articles, of tweets that come out. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to make content. What am I going to make? I want to make 2 TikToks today. What topics do I want to cover? And then from there, it just really, it organizes the flow very well. So highly recommend that workflow.
I think I could speak for everybody here when I say that we would love to see a video on that, because that sounds amazing.
Okay, I will
Yeah.
do that as soon as possible. I'm just starting to vamp up my YouTube. I've just been I'm trying to go as vertical as I can on one platform, and then I'll spread to others. But long form content is coming. I got a call. I don't know if I lost you guys there, but yeah, I will make a video on YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me see. Taylor, you had something to say, and Amar, thank you so much for rejoining us. We've been here so long.
Oh my God,
We've been
yes.
asking you.
Welcome back, Amar.
I'm just impressed you guys are
Welcome
still
back.
going. This is
Oh,
Oh,
incredible.
yeah.
we're still
Learning
going,
a lot.
man. And I just tweeted this out. Like, I can't believe that this thing is still going. I think we're going to have to do this like a weekly panel
100%.
situation every Friday.
Yes.
Because this is like, and it keeps just growing too.
So
Like,
good.
more people are hopping in. This is awesome. Okay, Matt, Midas, and anyone else here who is a Feedly stan, like, unite, because I didn't realize that there were so many Feedly users out there still. I've been using it for years, and I'm obsessed with the Leo AI component of it. But like, I guess being so buried also in Twitter and TikTok and Reddit, where I'm also sourcing a lot of my information and news, is like I don't hear about Feedly as much as I used to. So it like warms my heart when someone was like, I use this, and I'm like, I fucking use that every single day. So I love that. I wanted to ask if any of you guys are familiar with I think it's called Artifact, if anyone has heard of that yet, because I think it's supposed to be a similar approach. It's being built, or I haven't tested it. I'm on the wait list right now, but being built by Instagram co-founders Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger. So it's supposed to be kind of like a TikTok style app for text-based articles that uses this sort of AI algorithmic feed to serve up the quality content that you're looking for based on whatever your behavioral inputs are. So curious if anyone else is using that or has heard of it yet, because it kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about with Leo, which, by the way, please put a video together for how you do that Notion integration, because I'm dying to know. I'm already trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it by tomorrow, probably.
Amazing.
So I actually do have access to Artifact, and I do actually have a couple invite codes. So if you want to DM me, I could probably hook you up. But quite honestly, I like Feedly better so far. I think Artifact is still very new, but it works in a very similar way. Instead of giving it, upvotes and downvotes of what you like, it just looks at what you read. So it gives you a feed of news, and then whatever news it sees that you open, it tries to give you more news like that. The one thing that I don't really like about it is it's only on mobile. You can't view it from a web browser, and I don't really do a lot from my phone like that. I'm usually sitting at a computer when I do it. So that's my one sort of downside about it is I wish it had a web browser version, but it is very cool, and it is trying to do the same thing that the Feedly Leo is doing.
So I had one question. I haven't used Artifact, but I do find it so interesting how, I think for getting curated news about a particular topic, these AI recommendation tools like Feedly or like Readwise, they're great. But if you're getting your daily news on these types of applications, it's like, how do you avoid the problem of the daily news you're consuming becoming being like kind of absorbed in an echo chamber, right? Maybe this is a question for a different panel, but definitely something that sort of comes to mind is how do you leverage AI without sort of inherently falling into the trap of it becoming an echo chamber?
So I can answer that for myself, and I personally try to follow both sides of the coin, right? I try to immerse myself in both the AI and the anti-AI stuff. I want to know what everybody's saying. So I read all of the articles that are against AI and all of the articles that are for AI, and I'm trying to do my best to avoid creating an echo chamber. I want to know the other side. I want to be empathetic to the other side, and I want to be able to have healthy debates with the other side. So that's my take on it. Is I am following just as much news on both sides of the coin.
Love it, love it. Does it feel like you're swimming against current, Matt, when you're using these tools, or do you think that they kind of are programmed nowadays to help you avoid the inherent sort of bias? So tools like Artifact.
It's hard to say because I feel like just like on something like Twitter or Facebook, if I'm only going to interact with the stuff that's positive, taking a positive view on these topics, I'm only going to start to see the stuff that's taking the positive view on the topic. So I feel like these things are going to curate whatever experience you design them to curate for you in the same way that Twitter or Facebook or any of these other social media platforms are going to do it. Me personally, I'm trying to curate a feed that shows me both sides of the coin always.
Love it. Sorry to derail the conversation. I know that's a different topic, but found it really interesting and really appreciate Matt's answer there.
On my screen, by the way, I use TweetDeck, and I have lists of all the tech news journalists, all the tech news brands, all the investors, all the world news brands, and on and on and on, different kinds of communities. That's how I see the breadth of how people are reacting to this, because that's not a filtered feed. That's a real-time everything feed from of lists. I have many columns on my TweetDeck in front of me, so I can see how the world is seeing things.
Thank you. Thank you very much for explaining that, because that helps. And Cassandra, I think I gave you a mic when you get a chance, but go ahead, Dave, please.
Yeah, just a quick point. Amar, it's great to see you join our community. There was a shared tweet at the top about your awesome video. Would love for you to take the mic and kind of give an intro on what you're doing. You did the awesome book. You did the awesome short film. It seems as though you're really pushing a lot of these ideas forward. So would love to give you the floor.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Heather, was there someone who needed to go before me?
Yeah,
I
I'll
just want
let
to make sure.
Cassandra go now, because actually Amar started
Yeah,
out with
absolutely.
us, and he came back with us. We've been on here so long, and I appreciate it.
I'm surprised you're
But
still
I would
going.
love
Yes.
for him to explain that, because it's such a great story and more people could hear it.
Absolutely.
But go ahead, Cassandra.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to keep it very brief, and it's perfect, so I'll let him close us out. I just love you all so much. It was amazing to be in this space. I follow all of you already, so I feel like I'm in my community. I'm at the intersection of curating AI tools in the industry of mental health, healers, etc. They're very scared of this technology because we really encompass connection. over tools. And I believe that there's a medium here that is so beautiful that we can create as healers. And then the other intersection is really community building through tokenized communities and regenerative businesses and the immersive economy. So I just wanted to bring a point and kind of ground us into the power of these rooms. I'm so appreciative, but we talk a lot about decentralization, and this is what it is. We are building an entire new immersive economy from the ground up. And so I just wanted to give my flowers. Thank you all for your time. Please do not feel burdened if I sent you a fast text. I am way neurodiverse, and so I just say shit as it comes out of my mouth, and it's probably in your Twitter deck there. But this is it, guys. Like, this is a decentralized industry, community, and market share that we all have part of. So continue your journey, and hopefully we meet again in a more intimate space. So all my love, all my light, all my flowers, and I'm complete.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. I really appreciate it. And again, I'll remind everybody there's so many great people, so many different accounts and backgrounds and experience levels here of all types of different things. Please look around and follow the people that are in this room and come back. Every Friday we do this, and we'd love to continue the conversation. So thank you all so much for spending so much time here. And I mean, I wasn't going to end, but because it's so helpful for us all to share this information. But I did want to say that. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Dave. Dave, you had your hand up. Did you want to speak?
Yeah, so question for Amar.
Yes, I'm sorry, Amar. Please, can you, if you don't mind, and give an overview of what you did? Some pretty amazing things.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Heather, and other folks who had to hear me say
No,
this a couple
it was
more
pretty
times,
cool.
but
It's really
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So first project that I did, which is kind of the one that set me off in the space, was creating a children's book using AI tools. So that was Midjourney and ChatGPT, and then publishing it with Amazon's KDP, and managed to do that in a weekend. It definitely sparked a very, very interesting debate amongst folks, and I definitely got a reaction I wasn't expecting, but it gave me a ton of perspective on both sides of the coin, which I think was very valuable. I think it's very easy, especially someone who's in San Francisco, to get caught up in the excitement of the technology, but to see the other side was also super, super helpful. And then the second project was this Batman animated short. And I think for me, it's more about what are all the forms of storytelling that I can kind of take on with AI, right? So it was first a book, then an animated short. I would love to do something in VR as well, so it's incredibly immersive, and that's something I'm looking into next. But yeah, the animated short was just another way to express an idea, and what I was blown away by again was, how quickly. Actually, Riley, I saw one of your videos, and you had this animated character, and that kind of inspired it. And so, yeah, I was like, how quickly can I do this? Which happens to be one of the other things I challenge myself with any of these projects. So the book was a weekend project. The animated short took 6 hours. I don't think the VR one is going to be that quick. It's definitely a lot harder. But yeah, it's just been amazing to see the breadth of these tools, how quickly you can create and bring your ideas to life, which I think is incredibly special, right? And then the part that gets me really excited is just how anyone without these skills can start to express themselves, and I think that's really special. And I'll put this offer out there, but if you want a copy of the book, I'm super happy to gift it to you, because it wasn't really about the money. It's just about the ability and what AI can do. And so please just DM me, hit me up.
That's awesome. Amar, I've shared your main tweet that has, what does it have now? 1,372 retweets, which is amazing. Amazing virality on your work there. But yeah, so that tweet is in the top of this little space. If you guys want to look down on your phone and see it, you can check it out. Awesome job. Incredibly inspiring.
Thank you so much.
That Batman, that fan pick, that was really good. I love that. That was really good. Take a look.
It was really funny because I was recording the voiceover and my roommate was sitting next to me and he's like, "What the hell is he doing?" Like, what? And so it was really funny, kind of putting that together in front of someone who had no idea, and then seeing the final reaction to
Oh
it.
no, that was awesome. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Try.
Thank you so
No
much.
problem. Thank
And
you.
and Heather, I just DM'd you about this. I had a quick question for the community. I think there's almost 200 people listening to this right now. I was wondering if there's any other AI founders in the community listening right now. Anybody that potentially wants to come up on stage. I just talked to Stoke Builder, who's doing some great stuff with AI video. I think he's listening in. If someone wants to maybe DM me or Heather or raise their hand, I think there may be some AI founders in the community. Would love to potentially connect or hear from anybody that's building cool
Yeah.
AI tools.
Yeah.
So I can see two people here,
Yeah.
Altrin and David Park. They both have real great applications. Altrin has one for, like subtitling YouTube videos and any kind of stuff. And David has Jenny AI, which is also really good. I think both can come up stage.
Heather, would that be cool if you
Yeah.
don't mind just kind of giving a little bit of
Yeah. No
the
problem. I
ability
think
for some of these AI builders to
Stoke
maybe just
Builder,
kind of give a
I
quick.
apologize. I didn't even see you. Thank you so much. You know how much I use Kyber. I love it. I have to remove some people because I have so many speakers. So I'm trying to get to but thank you. That's a great question. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everyone here. I feel like I've connected with a lot of you in the last week or so. Yeah, my name is Victor. I'm the CEO founder of Kyber.ai. It's KAIBER.ai. We do AI video, and our first sort of category that we're really tackling is music videos. So if you guys saw last week, Linkin Park released Lost, which we were the AI production team for that music video. And so we've only been around for 6 or 7 weeks, but we're basically taking what we're learning from our studio productions, productizing it in our platform, and sharing it with the world. So it's super exciting to be sharing that with you guys here. Yeah, having a blast. But thank you for having me up here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and said I love the product. I just love using it. I use it all the time. So thank you. I'm still switching out microphones and trying to pull some and send some out. But David, if you want to go ahead, and Drayson, I see you on there. If you want to say something after David, I'm trying to.
Sounds good.
Altrin, I'm coming.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Thanks, Midas, for the shout out. My name's David. I run Jenny AI. Basically, we're an AI writing assistant. Our big, I guess, positioning is that we really encourage human in the loop. So we actually don't even have a write for me button. The only way you could actually get any content is if you write, and then once you hit writer's block and you stop typing, then an AI suggestion comes out. I just kind of think that the temptation of when an AI generates everything for you, it's too easy to just see kind of lukewarm content and be like, oh, I guess that's kind of what I wanted to say, and then accept it. So yeah, we really wanted to discourage that. And yeah, we generate like 20 million words per week. And I think the coolest stat is that when people export articles out of Jenny, actually less than 40% of the content is actually AI generated, which means we actually help writers get more into flow and augment them rather than get, some 1,500 words that are just not really going to elevate the collective knowledge of society. So yeah, that's what Jenny AI is.
Thank you. I'm sorry that I was a little late there. Thank you. I haven't had a chance to use Jenny as much, and but thank you so much for explaining it, because it's again one of the products that just came out that's really, or that is getting a lot of attention. And Altrin, did I say that correctly? Altrin?
Yeah, Ultra's
And then
fine. My name is Alex.
thank you.
Hopefully everybody can hear me. Nice to see everyone. I don't think I'm familiar with Heather, but definitely will follow now. Thanks for the invite. Shout out, Midas. Thanks for bringing me, finding me in the crowd. I'm the founder of Targum. Targum is a ancient Aramaic word that refers to the first ever translation of the Bible, and I'm bringing translation into the 21st century using AI. So right now you can experience the services of Targum by just going to Targum Video or just using our Twitter bot. So until such a time where Elon closes the API doors for us pricing wise, the bot is live and kicking, and you can ask to translate any video on Twitter by just replying vid translate or translate. The way I started is I'm a Ukrainian-born, Israeli American now, so all of these things, but I don't speak Ukrainian. And so when the war started, it was hard to follow what was happening in Ukraine. And when OpenAI released Whisper, I used it to quickly translate some stuff by Zelensky, and then I saw that a lot of people like this. And I saw that nobody is actually translating videos. So Twitter has the button to translate, text. YouTube gives you maybe auto transcription translation, but nobody else is translating videos. And so I built something, and just tons of people use it to follow the war, to follow current events. And we have kind of it exploded in popularity. So there's like, I don't know, more than 600,000 unique visits a month now, and they need to hold all this together while building the infrastructure to support it. And yeah, thanks for this community and the shout out, man.
That's awesome. Welcome. Thank you for sharing the updates like that. Are there any other startup founders, startup AI founders that would like to raise their hand and maybe get up on stage, give a quick pitch?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about what I'm building. So my name is Drayson, and my background actually comes from being a house music artist here in Miami. Been doing that for 12 years. Got really good at my productions. If you go on my page, I did a remix for Bad Bunny, and then it went #1 on Diplo's radio station. But I've always been fascinated by technology. I also became the marketing director for the Blockchain Education Network and taught kids all around the world about blockchain. And now that AI is kind of really moving at a rapid pace, I moved to, playing around with technology in this space. I'm making AI art, and that's also supplementing my brand, my music brand, because I can create like cover art, I can create concepts, and it's been a beautiful thing. And I post AI art every day on my profile. So I started diving deeper into that, and I found some other people that were also just as passionate as this community. Which, by the way, I love all you guys. You guys post amazing content. I follow all of you, amazing stuff, especially in the Discords as well. But yeah, I found other very passionate partners, and we started building this project called the Dream Box. And basically what that is like, okay, we see that everyone's going to be using AI in the future to generate, their own custom items or their own custom pictures, et cetera, et cetera. How can we start turning these into like real life products? And so that was the concept behind the Dream Box. It's like you
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back on, and I think Dave might have started another one with the other members. I'm sorry. Let me see if anybody can get into Dave's also, because I think that might have more people on it that were on the call, and I apologize so much. Just give me 1 second to try to figure out how we can merge that. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. I'm trying to
Guys,
get people back on. Sorry
I
about
feel,
that.
you know what, Heather? I feel like that was kind of like a rite of passage, or I don't know if that's happened to you before, but it's
No.
happened to me so many times where you're right in the heat of the conversation, and then suddenly, something drops out, and it's such a bummer. Spaces can be so buggy sometimes,
I
but
know. Yeah. All of
thank
a
you
sudden the
guys for
screen
coming
went
back.
dark. It went black. I'm like, what the heck happened? But thank you guys.
Yeah, I think I was.
I'm trying to get everybody.
Oh,
Where did
Okay.
it cut off?
Where? Wait, who is it? Jason? I'm not even sure because I think Dave might have started
Yeah,
another
no, it
one.
was me. Yeah, I was speaking.
Oh,
I
oh,
was
you.
speaking,
Oh,
and then
there.
I
Oh, I
went back
see
in.
you
And I
now.
was like, oh, the space ended.
No, no, thank you. I'm just throwing mics around, and Taylor, if you can help me
yeah.
figure out who was speaking because I couldn't hear for a couple of minutes either.
Yeah,
So
Drayson, were you were speaking, right?
Yeah, I was speaking. Where did it cut off?
Yeah. Oh God, you're asking me to reach too far back into
Okay,
my
never mind,
memory
never
right
mind.
now.
I mean, I can break it down from the beginning. I don't mind.
Yeah. Why don't you kick it off?
Okay, cool.
The space continues.
The space continues. So yeah, my name is Drayson. My background comes from music. I've been a house music producer here in Miami for 12 years. You know, I make productions. I made a remix for Bad Bunny and went #1 on Diplo's Sirius XM station. From there, I got really into the technology space just through like meeting a bunch of awesome people. Became the marketing director for the Blockchain Education Network. Taught kids all around the world about blockchain. And then, of course, you know, AI started emerging, and I fell in love with this space too because it just allows you to create at such a rapid pace, and I just love creating. And so I found some other very passionate people, just like how all you guys are in the community. Which, by the way, shout out to all you guys because like I follow all of you. You post amazing content. I love all the Discord stuff. But anyways, yeah, I found really passionate people, and we started with this concept. It's like, okay, well, in the future, everyone's using this technology to create, especially images. They're going to be able to create things to the heart's content, but they won't be able to actually bring it to life, or at least not yet. So we started this I guess you can say a company, but honestly, for more like a passion project right now, and it's called the Dream Box. And basically, it's like you dream it and we box it. We take your AI creations and bring them to life. And right now, we're starting with 3 verticals because we found by manufacturers to make come to life, which is toys and plushies, jewelry, because one of my partners is a Web3 smart jewelry company, and then print on demand, other verticals. But it's very exciting because we're able to take your AI creations, you know, and actually bring them to reality. So that's going to be launching next week, at least the beta. You can check it on my profile. I haven't actually posted the links or anything yet, so I guess it's like some really exclusive alpha. But yeah, that's what I love about AI. I have no background in coding, you know, no background in UI UX, but I'm using, you know, an array of AI tools to make this vision come to life.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I was going back and forth with Dave because he started the other one. Go ahead, guys. Please. If
Okay.
you Taylor, if you don't mind, I'm trying to.
Yeah, I can help
Thank you.
facilitate for sure. DSNR, it looks like you had requested to speak as well. Did you want to share a little bit about what you're working on, what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So we just started actually posting on our Twitter and going public, but basically I have a similar background as Drayson of what he's working on. Was more on the music management side though, so I was never really like that much of a creative. So entering the AI image generation space, I was seeing all these crazy images, but I was never really able to make images that were that good. So then I started playing around with ChatGPT and stuff, and was starting to realize I was able to make better image generation stuff. And I was coming up with like much better ideas, and then I started getting it to give me suggestions. So then I thought to make a Discord bot that kind of I started looking at all the guides online and stuff, and started to realize that like the 5 components were like detail, style, graphics, and like artist inspiration. So I decided to build a bot that is kind of in the same UI as Midjourney, and you kind of just give it a basic idea, and then it asks you questions, and then it gives you options based on all those different components, and then in the end you can generate a prompt. So based on our tests, we've been able to turn some basic ideas into really cool images, and I kind of like it because it allows anyone to turn into like have their own like creative consultant that gives them ideas, and GPT is kind of crazy because it can understand what is already like there in the prompt, and then it can give ideas like, oh, this artist would look good with it, and it has like all the artists you can think of. So it's like, oh, this artist would look good with it, try this, look this up. This style is also cool. So yeah, like that's what we built, and we're just finalizing some stuff and should go live in the next few days.
That's awesome. Definitely shoot me a link, if shoot me or Heather, or any of the other speakers here a link if you want us to test that out a little bit, because I would love to. I'm curious if anyone is using any of these prompt like reverse prompt engineering tools yet. If anyone, Matt, I'm sure that you could probably speak to that because you have your hand in all of them. But I've been kind of playing around with some of those tools, which I would have to grab the names of because of course they escape me. But like when I'm just generating some of my Midjourney stuff on, you know, a really like foundational level, when I'm building assets for content that I'm putting out and publishing, promotional assets, thumbnails, and things like that, like to really make sure that that styling is like consistent. I've been playing around with some of those tools. So wondering if anyone's found success with those.
I actually personally haven't used them a whole lot. One that I recently came across was Stable Attribution, which was designed to, you know, give the original artists attribution for the style that you're using. But I've also, you know, it's a decent tool to also find artists that you can add to your prompts to kind of design as well. But personally, I just get real experimental. I just throw a bunch of words and keywords in there and see what comes out. And when something works well, I keep on using it. And a lot of the prompts that I've been using, a lot of them I've actually learned from Heather. Like I didn't even know that you can use things like emojis in your prompts, and when I learned that, that was game changer for me as well. But
Right.
I actually haven't done a lot of the reverse engineering stuff. I've played around with the tools just so I could share that they exist, but I haven't honestly used them a ton myself.
Got you.
Oh,
If anyone else has any recommendations for those, pop in. Prompt Hero, I was playing around with a lot over the last few weeks, but I know that that's one of the more well-known ones anyways.
there's this clip interrogator
I'm
by this
sending the
dude,
mic
Pharma
out to some
Psychotic.
people
That
now. Linus, Dave, and Altrin. It says it's connecting, and I apologize. I have a ton of wind today right now, so I'm not sure. But if anybody can answer, please.
can you not
Let me
hear
see.
me? Hello,
Can
Heather.
you hear? Can you
Yeah, I
hear
can
Heather
hear. I
this
can
right
hear you.
now? Okay. And who else was speaking just now?
That's Altrin, the
Altrin.
owl. Yeah. I was
Heather,
about
can
to
you
say
hear
Oh
that.
no, I
Altrin? He
cannot
Can you
is
hear
the
hear.
me?
I'm
owl.
sorry. So I'll just
Okay.
back off.
Okay. So
Okay.
he's
Sorry.
yeah, if
Sometimes
you
it
want to
happens.
just mute really quick, Heather, and I'll let Altrin speak because I can hear you. But again, you know, we love Twitter Spaces, even with all of its bugs. So go ahead, Altrin.
Yeah, I was about to say there's this tool called Clip Interrogator by Pharma Psychotic, who's like one of the very cool dudes in our industry. And it takes images, runs them to Blip and Clip and all the different technologies to understand what's in the image, and then they try to like create a prompt. I should probably find a tweet. There's a few tools like this. One of them is free on Replicate, and I used it and I actually built something that I didn't eventually ship, but maybe Dave remembers. A right-click Chrome extension that you can like right-click on any image. It will run this through this interrogator and will try to come up with a prompt. It'll give you this image. I have a I have a video of using this to kind of try and recreate some art on like iStock photo and different places, and that works pretty well. So those two definitely exist, and with some mild success as well, they'll give you some artists. It's pretty cool. I'll try to find the tweet to pin this for this chat.
Cool. I'm looking it up right now. It looks like it's a Hugging Face product too, so that's cool. And this one just it will spit out the prompt that was used for the image that you upload.
It will try to figure out what's
It
in
will
the
try. Yeah.
image and then try to fit it into what artists could have generated. Like it will try to come up with a prompt that will like if you put it in a different version of Stable Diffusion or whatever Midjourney, it will try and give you an image that's fairly similar. It works with mild success. If you use it with image to image, it works amazingly. Like if you use the actual source image plus the whatever prompt it comes up with, the results are fairly insane.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
All
I use
right, Heather.
that one is really, really good. Highly recommend it.
All right, it's going in the bookmarks. I'm sure Heather's probably familiar with it too. Heather, are you back? I guess you didn't go anywhere, but you're here, right? Altrin's done.
Can I suggest one? There's a
Go for it.
futuretools.io. Not sure if you heard about it. It's a collection of all the.
As a matter of fact, we have Matt. Do you want to explain Future Tools?
Yeah, sure. So Future Tools is actually my website. It was a website that was designed in a weekend after I'd been building a spreadsheet of various AI tools over months and months and months. And one weekend I decided, you know what, this is kind of becoming this unorganized spreadsheet of random tools. Maybe I should organize them in a clean way. So I learned Webflow and used Webflow to organize my spreadsheet of tools. And yeah, that's the sort of origin story of Future Tools. But I basically built it because it's the thing that keeps my fingers on the pulse of everything that's coming out. Now it's gotten to the point where people submit their tools to me every day. So every morning I wake up to an inbox of 30 or 40 new tools to go check out and play around with. And it's sort of my engine to keep my finger on the pulse. And it's sort of a byproduct and very cool that other people use it, but that wasn't even how it started. It was just kind of my original way of just, being in the loop. But thanks for shouting it out, Raj. I appreciate it.
Matt, I would love to do like a deep dive with you one of these days and just go into your process of building out Future Tools, because it's one that like I didn't know that you created it either until just like a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I've been using this for a bit and I'm obsessed with it, and then I put two and two together. So I just think it's fascinating, and the fact that you said that you pulled that together like so quickly is it's amazing. I would love to go into that. Heather says that she's here and she can't hear anyone. We know that spaces are a little buggy, but I'll do my best to help facilitate. Dave, I know that you had your hand up as well. If you wanted to add some knowledge, share some words as well.
Yeah, so Heather, sorry that you're having some technical issues. Thanks so much for putting this great community on. Thank you very much, Taylor. But yeah, so Matt, props on your incredible work with Future Tools. I went ahead and shared a tweet from Matt at the top. If you guys look down at your phone, you should be able to see it. It's a link to the Discord. One of the most amazing things that I personally have seen over the past couple of years is Matt being able to bring together, I think, 2,200 people in the span of about 10 days. Absolutely incredible growth. But the value that's been exchanged and that's being shared in these discords recently has been just super inspiring. And Matt has one of the absolute best on the internet, I would argue. So if anybody's listening and wanted to jump into that Discord, if you don't have a Discord account yet, I definitely would encourage it. It's worth at least getting an account so you can begin to jump in all these different Discords. But I think Matt has the best one on the web right now. So feel free to click that link. And that leads me to another question. Linus actually just DM'd you asking if you have a Discord link. Would love to share that as well. And if anybody else in the community wanted to share some Discord links or wanted to talk about all the amazing things that happens during the week where we all kind of connect in Discord, would love to kind of open the floor to anybody that wanted to share their point of view or share any Discord links they like. I'll try to put them up in the top bar as possible.
I feel like Discord is where it's popping lately. I know that Dave, I just joined your Discord, so I'm excited to dig into that. We're also with the Sauce community, with part of what we're doing together here with Heather and a lot of the people that are here. We decided to take it upon ourselves to do the same kind of approach with a Discord of making like creating a community around it. And this is like really, I think, first and foremost what we're doing here as part of this space. I mean, look at this. We already got together again after having technical difficulties, and we've managed to scramble together and find one another again. So this isn't the biggest indicator of a community that's hungry for this information and sharing the values and resources available to us in this AI space, then I don't know what is. But a lot of the people that are here in this cohort, we rally around Discord as well. We're called The Sauce, and we're running a free cohort for the next 9 weeks, just talking about not specifically AI. We do talk a lot about that, but really about community building at large, especially as content creators and digital entrepreneurs in this space, learning the ropes of building an online business. And a key part of that, especially in this day and age, is community. And of course, the tactics that go into community have a lot to do with AI, especially in this emerging, like, kind of futuristic state that we're living in. So I'll also drop that one. But Dave, thanks for sharing yours as well, because I'm excited to see what you have going on.
Yeah, definitely. Amar, good to see you back in here. Do you by chance have a Discord yet? Would love to share that link. And Amar, just, we have a kind of an AI leaders group that I would love to DM you about, get you access to that. But yeah, so if anybody has Discords that they're interested in or that they've got a lot of value in, feel free to DM us and we can share the link at the top. But yeah, I do believe that especially over the course of the next 6 months, a lot of this value sharing happens within Discords. People are building their AI startups right inside of Discord. I know with the studio, we have 19 members of our team active working in our Discord, which is absolutely incredible. We don't even use email, which is exceptional. We were able to kind of get away from email. So yeah, so if there's anybody in the audience that has been able to leverage Discord and continue to grow, and would love to hear from you, feel free to DM me if you'd like, or if you wanted us to share one of your links, we can try to put it up at the top.
Raphael, I wanted to get you up here as well. Looks like you just requested to speak, and I think you were on our space yesterday with Mark Schaefer, if I remember correctly.
Hi. Well,
Hello.
hi guys. I heard what you said. If there is someone here with Discord, I do have an account at Discord, and I'm sorry if it sounds very ignorant, but I have no clue of how using it. So I'd love to have some help on this because it is so exciting. Everything seems to be different, but I really don't know how to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Discord's one of those things that I think once you get into it for the first time, it's super overwhelming. And for me, it took me about probably around like 6 months of using it almost daily to be super comfortable with it to the point where I could create a server. But I do think that it lends itself really nicely with the different features and capabilities to community building and to creating these like spaces where people can not only connect with one another, but also, have engaging activities and meaningful interaction, if you will, kind of segmented into different topics. And so of course, like the AI space as a whole lends itself to that really nicely as well, because there's so many different wormholes that you can go down. And so having a Discord space or something similar where you can kind of segment some of that information and have individual chatter but also all in one place is key. And I think that's what you're doing, Dave.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, feel free, Raphael, if you have any specific questions, one, feel free to join my Discord. You can DM me there. I have my DMs open. But yeah, I mean, one, it's cool to just participate in Discords. But the cool thing about Discord is if you go down to the bottom left corner, you can click the little plus button and you can create your own. And by creating your own, you kind of learn what it's like to be able to move around roles and set up different sections and stuff. And that's really where I think a lot of people level up to the next level by having their own. Even if it's just you have a test server or whatever. But that's been super powerful. But yeah, feel free to DM me. And if there's anybody else in the audience that has any questions about maybe setting up their Discord for the first time, one of the things we do at the studio is we offer pro bono consulting for helping people get their first Discord set up. So feel free to DM me if you've been kind of on the fence. It's pretty easy to set up a Discord and get 100 or 150 of your friends in there. And it's an amazing ability to kind of share ideas and grow a company. And I really am excited about the fact that a lot of people in the AI space are kind of going Discord first, which has been super powerful to see. So, but yeah, if anybody else has any other kind of topics, whatever, Amar, it's great to see you. If you wanted to share any other favorite links or things you're working on, it's great to see this second Twitter space kind of continuing to move forward.
For sure. I'm also quite the Discord noob. I was telling Taylor that the other day. Do not know how to use it, but it feels like alarm bells everywhere when I'm browsing the sidebar. But it's been fun to see the communities, and I'll be excited to dive in. But honestly, I would love a list where it's maybe curated, like what are the Discord spaces to join, where specific conversations happening. That would be super helpful.
Yeah. So one quick thing, one of the things that we typically do, I've helped a couple of people locally set up with Discord, and when I'm sitting next to them, the first thing we do when we install a new Discord is we turn off all notifications. And then the other thing with some of my friends who are getting frustrated is you right click, and then there's the button to be able to, it says mark as read. So all those notifications go away. I think that's step one. But yeah, Amar, I DM'd you or whatever, would love to kind of get you into this AI leaders group we have, and then if you ever decide to set up a, I DM'd you a couple weeks ago about potentially setting up an AI experiment, since you're doing such an amazing job with your book and such an amazing job with your short film. I just think there's a lot of potential to be able to kind of open it up for things like that. So
awesome. Yeah, we'll hit you up on the DMs.
Awesome. And Haroon, it looks like you are requesting to speak as well. So let me add you up.
Hey,
it's going through.
Oh.
Spaces are whack today, you guys.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We got you.
Yeah, no, just so I don't have a Discord community. Like Amar said, I'm also kind of unsure. Like I'm just not used to it, and I also get alarmed by all the notifications. But I did want to make a sort of give a quick plug for Notabot, which is my daily AI newsletter. We've been running for 5 years now. And we were, before we were once every 2 weeks, we just moved to daily very recently. Obviously, it doesn't even feel like it's enough given how fast the space is moving. We have some great interviews we just did recently. I spoke to Mark Cuban a little while ago. It was the first time he spoke publicly about generative AI. I spoke to Amjad Masad, CEO of Replit, last night. Spoke with CEO of Runway ML, Cristobal, and then some other folks. We may get Gary Vaynerchuk very soon as well, finalizing the details there. So we have some really great expert Q&As coming up, and we have, we're trying to share all of the AI news in a way that's digestible as well. So we have our little community over email, I guess you can say. No Discord, but just wanted to give a quick plug for that.
I'm very excited about this idea, this whole idea that I'm kind of discovering now at Twitter of building a community. This is really, getting me, and I would love to take part on it. So all the challenges I have to face, I'd love to.
Yeah, man, and I feel like that's the whole driving force behind why we're all here, is to like build those authentic connections, and places like Twitter is the starting point for that. Twitter, LinkedIn, there's others, and then moving it through to have real connections outside of just social media as well, into a place where you can have a platform to chat, to exchange ideas, whether that's some sort of proprietary community or whether it's something like Discord or Telegram. It's an important, I think, thing to acknowledge as creators, that these communities do exist. Part of the challenge is just finding them as well. But we're building one. We're literally doing it all right here together right now. Linus, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so do you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, cool. First of all, Amar, nice to see you here. I know you've been in this space since the first one, and now you're here again. If it wasn't for Amar, I don't think Bedtime Stories would have pre-launched in December. We weren't ready to. We didn't have a way to charge. We didn't have like a complete feature set. Like we didn't have anything, and I accidentally just responded to Amar's tweet about that book. And that that accidentally put us with Bedtime Story on a trajectory that's it's been growing ever since. But I wanted to see if there's any parents in this space, and if so, I wanted to give away, since I've been in this call for quite some time now, and I spoke before, I don't want to be lengthy, but I want to give away 3 free months. So like 3 people get 1 month off for free, and you can cancel your subscription straight away if you want to. So if there are any parents in here that would like to try out Bedtime Story, let me know. I'll post a coupon code that's going to be available for 3 people. So first come, first serve. But please reserve it for the parents. So if you're just a builder or someone that wants to try out, you can DM me and I can hook you up. But maybe I will just say the code and then maybe write the code here as well. So the code would be space 100. So you go to bedtimestory.ai and you sign up and you use the code space 100 and you get your first month off for free. And if you don't want to use it anymore, you can just cancel your subscription straight away, so you don't worry about getting hit by that. But that's for parents that are looking to generate some stories for the kids. I thought I wanted to give back a bit. Um, so yeah, thank you.
And free shout out, Linus's site is awesome and easy to use. So even if you just spend a couple minutes trying it, it's a beautifully designed site. Definitely recommended.
So Linus, where did you get all these images from? They are very cool on your site.
So they're actually generated. So the way that the product works is that the user enters a single prompt, like a simple prompt. So I should have explained that. Sorry, everyone that's new. So my name is Linus, and I'm one of the co-founders of Bedtime Story AI, which is a story generation tool. We're built a little bit of a black box that is sucking in GPT-3. We're using Dolly at the moment, but we're also training our own stable diffusion model. We're using some text to voice that's not really public yet. And the person that is using the platform, or the kid or the parent, whoever is creating a story, they just enter a single prompt. It could be two words, it could be a sentence, it could be two sentences, and then we spit out an entire story. Um, our main focus now has been on bedtime stories, particular, because it's an easy format. It's easy to like tell someone what it is. But our bigger ambition is to become like a narrative company. We want to be able to create any type of story, educational stories, stories for learning, stories to just tell, in a sense where you want to, like, with kids particular, you might want them to be able to connect with something that they did during the day, or an experience they had, and you want to incorporate a morale or a learning that's very personalized to them. So we're kind of working towards that. And the images are also generated on the fly based on your single prompt. So we do a lot of heavy lifting in the background to make that possible, and that's kind of our IP and our moat. But yeah, that's what it is. Sorry for being lengthy. I'm gonna quit now.
All right, looks like we've got a couple others as well who have requested to speak, so feel free to step up. Ask Duke. And Luis, I also got you too.
I don't even know how to ask the questions. I don't know what questions to ask about Discord for now.
Well, not just about Discord, but about all things AI, really, as we're talking about the tools, the tech, the stories.
Yes, it is all new, but I heard you speaking about Telegram. How do you use it to build community? I'm sorry, I'm such an amateur on those things, but I
No,
can contribute
yeah.
with many things in the future.
I personally don't have a ton of experience building Telegram communities, but if anyone does, would love to hear from that.
Another thing we can talk about is which are these tools from AI that we can use. I'm sorry, I really, perhaps I'm lowering down the level, but that's a help I need.
I wish Heather had the mic on this one too, because I think she's cutting out as well. But let's see, we've got a host of people in here who have a lot of experience with these AI tools. So if anyone wants to step in and give like a quick rundown and maybe your top ones. Are you talking about art specifically, Raphael?
No, I'm talking about
The
everything. I
content,
think
all of it.
everything, all of it.
It's a very wide subject now. Earlier it used to be one topic, but now it's getting too wide. Like you can imagine stuff, and probably there's a tool out there doing that already. Like you think about some words that you want to say, and then you want to image out of it. Well, I think a lot of people in here have already tools been using or been creating that. So AI is doing everything that we just had thought about till date. From my perspective, there's a lot more additions that people can do there.
Yes. Is anybody here interested in, changing the world? I mean, fighting back all the things that makes us feel that the world is falling apart, that perhaps together we can make a difference?
Wow, that's a
So I have a simple question. How many of you are using Midjourney to create the dataset for your models in Stable Diffusion?
I don't even know what you're talking about, man.
So I'm talking about the creation of fine-tuned models with Dreamboot for Stable Diffusion, and using the Midjourney for the creation of the dataset. In this case, the dataset is it's the set of images that you want to train, so that the Stable Diffusion can replicate that same style of images.
Cool. Thank you.
So I was wondering how many of you are using Midjourney to create the dataset for your fine-tuned models.
Um, Hello, good afternoon, everybody. So I'm not an expert in the topic. However, I have seen people, and probably I can point you in the direction is about consistency. So if you do a quick search in YouTube about how to create consistent characters, or you're using your own image and you create your own consistent person on using Midjourney, and then exporting those images to use it in Stable Diffusion, probably you could get to your end result.
Yeah, I actually do that for a living right now. So I was just wondering if any more people, like, instead, not just me, but if any of you are doing that, taking that approach instead of picking images. For example, let's say that you want to build, and this is a simple example for video games. If someone is trying to build, for example, a generator for potions or something similar, what I've seen people do is that they're picking images from straight from Google, and I think that creates a lot of copyright infringement issues. And so if you use Midjourney, you can very easily create all the images that you want with a very consistent quality, instead of just trying to pick up images from Google, which, like I mentioned, cause a lot of copyright issues, and the quality is not always very good, and the consistency of the style is not good as well. So if you guys are looking to make models for games, Midjourney is very good for that, to create the data sets, and so you can train high quality models.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so if you don't mind me, I just had a quick question to Amar, if it's not too much to ask. Amar, I was wondering, what's next? You've already done the book, you've already done the short film. What's potentially coming next? If you'd be willing to share some of your ideas with us.
Yeah, I'm trying to explore a bit more of an immersive way of storytelling. So, we did the book, then we had the animated short, and I really want to see if I could use AI art, kind of use ChatGPT to help craft a story, and do something in VR. Potentially, one thing I'm thinking about is recreating one of my vivid dreams and then putting myself back in it with VR, which sounds wild, right? But I think it'd be an interesting challenge with the tools that are out there. Haven't kind of gone fully deep into it yet, but I've been looking at a lot of the environment generation tools out there, some tutorials on how to use Unity. Whatever I learn, I'll definitely share the way I do with my tweets, just so people can replicate. But I usually try to go about looking at what are existing tools today that may not be AI powered, because I think it's very easy to get caught into like, oh, there must be a tool that does X, and I think if you just take some existing tools and combine a little bit of the AI tools out there, you can achieve pretty interesting results. So anyway, that's like the current idea, but yeah, I'll keep you all posted for sure. And Linus, I also wanted to say I love that you had the hustle to release early with that tweet, and I'm so glad to hear that it's been going really well.
Thank
So
you, appreciate it.
it's interesting, Amar. There was a video that came out, I think, a couple weeks ago, of a guy walking into kind of a blank room in VR, and then just beginning to say, "I want to see a city," or "I want to see a forest," or whatever, and basically it just pops up in front of him. So basically, kind of like a voice-generated AI creation on the fly in VR. There is a demo on the internet. I'll try to find that link and DM it to you. But that does exist as of, I think, 2 weeks ago, which is pretty cool. So really
awesome.
exciting type of thing. And to your question or whatever, to your point, what is an example of a product that you would like to see AI in that currently does not have it?
That's a really good one. I think I still want to see more around video game generation, so 3D assets that you could easily rig up and move around. I think you can get the objects, but then people have fairly complex demos on how you have to use Blender and all these other tools that are really, really hard and not very approachable. And so would love to see it, bringing characters to life in an easier way. I think that just continues to enable storytelling for folks, right? Which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's, as someone who tried Blender about a month ago, I I agree with you. It's definitely a steep learning curve. I mean, it's
Very
difficult
steep.
learning something like Photoshop, whatever, but Blender is a whole nother level of challenge, at least for me personally. So I agree with you. Same question to you, Linus. What's coming next? What does the future, do you think, hold for some of the stuff you're doing at Bedtime Story, or some of the things you're excited about that you would like to see?
Yeah, so with Bedtime Stories, what we're working on now is audio. So fixing the audio pipeline. Like really what's going on right now in Bedtime Stories is that we're launching our editor, and this is a big thing. Like it's rolled out to all paid customers, and we're launching it to all 10,000 people probably on Monday or Tuesday if everything goes well over the weekend. And then Brian, my co-founder, is working on our own stable diffusion model. So we're bringing something to life that we're calling magic images or magic photos. So we haven't really decided on what to call it yet, but essentially it will allow you to transform or upload any character, like your kid or you as a parent or grandparents, whatever. You can upload characters, and then we are training them for you, and we're hosting the model. But then you can use those in your stories. So let's say I want to make a personal story about my daughter. I have 2 characters in my account. I have my 2 daughters there, and I can just pick a character, and then all the images for the story will be using her. But the image prompting and everything is the same engine that we're running now to create the images for the stories. So essentially, we're just adding 2 stories, like a way to incorporate your own characters that you then have full control over. And when we're working on those characters to kind of like have information, so they will have metadata in terms of like their names, their age, maybe preferences or backstory to the characters. So when you're creating stories with them, the model knows how they look, but also knows some of their data. So our line of thought is that we want to make it so that you can create as personal stories as possible. And if we're looking at this space in general, I think we're looking at a lot of Wonderbly. Like they're a big publishing company, I think, based out of the UK, and they're selling customized printed books. And I think last year they did 80 million in revenue from selling these customizable books. But the only thing you can customize is essentially the name and the skin colors of the character in the book. And they have 5 pre-made stories. And I think that's very limited in terms of what's possible. And then if you're looking at what we can do here with fully customizable characters, fully customizable storylines, and we can do all of that like pretty easily fast, and the output ultimately can be printable. So I think we're setting everything up to be able to produce content, like to be able to produce the stories and own the stories, but then deliver them in different ways. So right now it's just text on a screen, but EPUB, PDFs, printed books, audio, all of this is coming. So we're really excited about the next few months, 6 months here, what we're going to be able to ship and build. We're a small team, but things are going up and to the right. So just excited about that.
That's exciting. Yeah, props on just the incredible hustle from you. How big is your team right now, by the way?
3.
3 of you guys. That's impressive. Yeah, it seems like I was going to estimate you have like maybe twice that. That's really cool. Oh, and you're located in Scandinavia or something? Where are you guys located?
We're fully distributed, so we're remote. So I'm based in Sweden. My co-founder is in Australia, in Western Australia. So yeah, we're looking to get someone part-time. So let's see what that person ends up being.
That's awesome. Yeah, props on moving all that stuff forward. And I just think it's really going to be cool to see the trajectory of Bedtime Story over the next, like you said, X number of months. As AI gets better and your team gets better and the design gets better. And I mean, yeah, it's just exciting. So props on really moving that forward. And hopefully your kids are really enjoying it as well, since you actually can get a chance to build a tool that your family actually uses. That's such a beautiful part of what you're doing.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's pretty much it for me. I'm going to hop off here shortly. Does anybody else have any questions for me, or Heather Taylor specifically for co-hosting this? I wanted to say thank you. The link to my studio Discord is there at the top. If you just swipe to the right, if you guys want to come join that. If you have any questions about setting up a Discord, let me know. Amar, it's great to get a chance to meet you. Please let me know if you wanted to discuss some of these ideas. Linus, if you ever want to set up a Discord for Bedtime Story, I think it'd be awesome. Get a couple hundred people in there if you wanted to. It's just been great getting a chance to connect with all of you, and would love to see you here on Twitter if you could give me a follow, and especially in the Discord. I think it's just such a great community to be able to jump in. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you. It was been
Someone,
great.
I'm just gonna add something here. I think Greg asked me a little while ago here. A few minutes ago, is the AI bonsai garden happening? And I must say yes to this. I'm just trying to figure out a way to solve image upload without people uploading weird stuff. So for those who don't know, I posted a way to do like crazy bonsais in Midjourney the other day, which is essentially super easy. Just enter a word and then bonsai, and you will get very ridiculous, really good output. And it's almost like a meditative experience. Sadly, Midjourney is currently down for maintenance for another hour, so we can't do anything now. But I got some really amazing responses to that, replies to that post, and we're putting together a little site where everyone can post their creations. So that's going to happen soon.
So, hello everybody. I just have a question for everybody. So, I'm looking to be able to try to create storytelling, but in this case, it's trying to go. I am a person that I like to read. In this case, I like to read a lot of classics, and I create a small video, like a short for the Divine Comedy. The images are generated with what is the name of that website? Lexica. Before I bite the bullet for Midjourney. But my thing is, I have seen this video of people be able to create, more animation style of videos with AI. However, they're kind of a little bit pricey. Has anybody be able to find anything a little more cost effective or a little bit open source for creating animations with AI?
What do you mean exactly by animations, by the way? Like moving images or video or
No moving images, because just the images, it could just stay in the
just an yeah.
it's
Or,
kind of like more um
mm.
is I have seen this video where people kind of record themselves and kind of like, or they have a piece of video, and that piece of video transformed to something else.
I think it's Pix to Pix, if I'm not mistaken.
That again?
I think that's Pix to Pix, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, Pix to Pix. I will check that out. And also, what about the images of persons talking? Like, for example, I guess there's one DID. Is there any other alternative to that one?
For free, I'm not sure. You might try to look on Hugging Face and see if someone has like a space for that.
Hey everybody, is it okay if we change the discussion point just a little bit? I had a topic that I've always been thinking about for quite a bit. It's now it's not image related, but it's more ChatGPT related, open dialogue. I work at a large telecom company on the customer experience team, and a lot of what we do is create better experiences, omni-channel through all kinds of platforms. So now, something specifically that I've been thinking about is virtual assistants on web pages. I'm sure you've gone to PayPal, whatever. The little bot pops up in the corner. Hey, how you doing? You need any help? Is there anything I can help you with? You start typing. Oh, I can't pay my bill, or something happened with a transaction. It makes you authenticate. It gives you weird answers. It gives you links. You don't want to click on links. You just want an answer. So I asked ChatGPT. I said, pretend to be a virtual assistant as a support bot, and it gave me direct. I said, for example, I said, hey, my router, it's lighting up, it's blinking, but I'm not getting internet. It gave me 10 troubleshooting tips that I should take. It told me about, right, it pretended, it gave me all these steps to take, and I was like, this is so much more helpful than having a chat bot that says, I need you to sign in before I can help you, and it doesn't actually help. It just gives you links. Last night I said, hey Siri, when did the first iPhone come out, right? Gave me links. I was like, Siri, just tell me. You ask ChatGPT, it gives you the whole history of it. Now, I wanted to have a discussion around that. When do we think we can start seeing that being implemented into things like Google, Alexa? Amazon's losing $10 billion a year on their Alexa devices because people are just using it as a light switch. Now imagine that with ChatGPT. I think there's so much value in that as virtual assistants. I'm curious, what do you think that timeline looks like?
So I'm just gonna answer. Timeline is ridiculously fast. Like what we're seeing now unraveling, right? Like Bing is implementing GPT 4.0 or 3.5 with OpenAI, investing billions into that joint venture with OpenAI. Google is releasing Bard. I mean, it's just this space is going to move so fast that the use cases you're explaining, they're already being implemented in pretty much every big software that is doing support, right? If you're using Intercom, for example, they just released AI, so you know all of a sudden I have the power of AI in Intercom. I can do everything I need there. My macros are supercharged. So I think like this is just going to happen so fast, and we're talking less than 2 years, and it's going to be everywhere. So it's like either you learn these tools to your best abilities, or you're gonna be kind of left behind, or you're gonna have to play catch up later. It's gonna go really fast to get these tools everywhere. That's my take.
I agree. I'm more of the consumer type where I'm so excited to have an Amazon Alexa in my house that I could just have a discussion with, and it gives me chat GPT level responses. If I need help, if I have an issue, you're never going to hear, oh, sorry, I didn't get that. Sorry, I can't understand that. Refer to the website. You're probably never going to hear that again. And I think this would be so helpful for people, older people with dementia, stuff like that. It's such an accessible technology. It's really crazy.
100% agree. I think someone else should chime in on this. Actually, Harun, sorry, you have a lot of insights into this. I think as well.
I'm so sorry, I was distracted, so I missed the question entirely.
No, like filling in the blanks here with like what the impact will be for AI for like Jonah said,
Yeah.
very excited about like ChatGPT in general and amazed by the responses, and then like how it will become omnipresent on your Alexa device, on your Google device, etc. Like how the responses will elevate and kind of like just make everyone's lives better. What's your take on that,
Yeah.
given the stuff that you're seeing?
It's really hard to see the third, fourth, fifth order consequences, but in the next 5, 10 years, I think what we're gonna move towards is a world where folks will need to be very agile. It's like the Bruce Lee quote, like "Be like water." Like you're gonna need to be keep your head on a swivel. Just understand what technologies are being released. I mean, AI has never moved more quickly as it is right now, and making any guesses as to where the technology is going to be in 5 years is maybe not the best idea, because it's just the space is moving very, very quickly, and it's important to adapt. And the one thing that I am very sold on is that the future is going to require an ideas mindset. Like, it used to be that the ideas guy was always the one that folks would look at and say, hey, like, the ideas guy isn't able to actually do anything because they're just an ideas guy. They need folks to actually get in there and actually build the things that they have ideas about. And I think in the future that it's going to be the ideas guy is going to be more important than ever. They're the ones that are going to actually succeed because code has become automated, right? I mean, Replits, Ghostwriter Chat, we see GitHub Copilot, how good it's getting, and this is just a beginning. And so creating software is only going to get easier. Creating virtual worlds, that's only going to become easier. Copy generation is already super, super easy. And I was chatting with the writer.com CEO, May Habib, the other day. They released their own set of foundational models. And so essentially, they let companies fine tune those models on their own data so that you're able to get very personalized suggestions. And the AI is trained on like the voice of a company, the positioning of a company, the messaging of a company. And so that was always the next frontier. Is the copy generation is not only going to become easier, but it's going to be tailored to exactly what you need, whether you need it to be copy that's in your own voice, or if it's something like an Alexa or a Siri, a voice that you want to listen to and that you respond well to. And so I mean, the technology is moving so quickly. It's really about being adaptive, and it's going to get easier to execute and do things. Just being really good at putting pieces together. I mean, I know Amar, Linus, I mean, exactly what you guys have done, and just understanding where there's opportunities to put these tools together, and then just executing and building those things and leveraging AI as much as you possibly can. We're going to have AI cover more and more ground. There's going to be so many micro tools created for very specific things. I mean, like there's a chatbot for answering questions about Desperate Housewives. There's a chatbot about answering questions during pregnancy, which I'm sure my wife would have loved over the past few months. And we're going to see these use cases become more and more specific. And that's also why we're building. So it's a very small plug, but we launched Igniter Chat this morning, which is like we have over 1,000 tools in our repository, and it's a chat bot where you can find the right AI tool for whatever job it is that you want to accomplish. And my thesis on the whole thing is that in the future, it's like if you have something in mind, if you have an idea in mind, it's not a matter of how do I sit down on a computer and like for a week, type out a bunch of like build a Next.js application and then hire freelancers to do the design. It's not really going to be about that anymore. It's going to be, you're going to type into a box and say, I want to find a program that will help me put up the scaffolding of this type of web application. You're going to have the web application. You're going to be able to put in prompts for whatever designs that you need, which folks are already able to do nowadays, and just get things done just by instructing different AI programs to accomplish those very specific tasks. Sorry for the long-winded answer, but hopefully that's somewhat helpful.
That makes sense. And I think the key thing here that you said is like the ideas person will win. And I also think the person that is willing to learn to speak AI and the different nuances of speaking AI will win. And I'm not talking about prompt engineering. I'm just talking about being very good at like describing or actually writing what it is that you want in one way or another. So it's super interesting. I think Nalisa wanted to speak, and Taylor, you should probably just take over.
Do you guys mind if I chime in for a second there? Just to add on what Haro said, it's not that we like AI companies today cannot give you short form answers. It's for regulatory reasons. If you don't produce links and sources / citations to where you got your answers from, a lot of these companies are likely to get sued. So until that is resolved, we're going to see a lot of Google type answers. I do have a question, which is related to Midjourney and creating designs. How do people create consistent characters across an entire story? Generating random looking beautiful designs is easy, but to keep it the same for the purposes of a book, for example, I know that you have to do something with the seed and refeed it back into the prompt. But is there a simpler way to create the same design over and over again, one that doesn't rely on randomness and chaos that is Midjourney?
Yeah, I can answer that. Amar maybe can as well, but the quick answer is you need the seed phrase, right? It's a diffusion model. It's based out of noise from the beginning. So to begin with, you need to keep the seed phrase. But to step back a bit further, Midjourney was never meant